Mitchell Ashley, our CTO and GM of Techstrong Research, and I have been kind of splitting the duties because we're that booked with people. There's over 10,000 people here. I'm going to guess there's 12 to 15,000 people.
Yeah, there's a lot of people
at the event, maybe more. I'll know more. I'll find out tonight. But anyway, let me introduce you to our next guest. His name is Alex Burkhart. Alex is with Observe Inc.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, welcome to Techstrong TV. Thanks for being here with us at KubeCon.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. I appreciate you guys taking some time to talk to me today.
Absolutely. So let's start with this. Let's start with Alex.
Yeah.
What do you do at Observe?
Yeah, so at Observe, I run our technical customer-facing team. We call it field engineering.
Yeah.
And we work with customers from the first interaction when they're in the sales cycle to figure out if Observe's a great solution for them, all the way to success and renewal and helping them realize value from their investment in our partnership.
Okay. And so you're at that role, but let's tell a little bit about more your personal journey.
Oh yeah, so I started as a computer scientist, actually in the Navy.
Really?
Yeah, I went to the Naval Academy, got a computer science degree, and they said, that's great, go drive some ships. So
Such is life in the Navy,
yeah,
what do you expect? Right.
And then my journey brought me to Silicon Valley after I did some cybersecurity work for the Navy. And what I love more importantly than anything else is helping people find a way to use technology to solve a problem that makes their life better.
Excellent. Now, when did you come to Observe?
I've been to Observe for more than 3 years now. Yeah, I was employee 28, I think if my numbers are right. Pre-customers, in fact.
Right,
The
really
same day
early.
I started, we signed our first customer.
Good for them, good for you, good for them. So, we don't have to assume. I know for a fact there are people out here who don't know Observe.
Yeah.
Have never observed Observe. Tell them, how would you describe what Observe is and does to our audience?
That's a great question, Alan. So at Observe, what we realized is observability is a data problem. So we started by building a data company. What we wanted to figure out is, can we bring a solution to market that allows customers to send any data they'd like, to correlate it, and interact with it in a way that allows them to get more value out of it more quickly. And what we've done is we brought a solution to market that unifies the observability tooling into one platform. It allows you to send logs, metrics, traces, and any other type of data, structured or unstructured, that you'd like to keep in your observable universe into one tool, one data store.
Love it. And before we jump into news and stuff, for people who want to just say, hey, I'd like to just see what their website is, what's the URL?
Yeah, our website is www.observeinc.com.
So it's observeinc.com.
Observeinc.com.
Right.
We're Observe Inc., technically, so observeinc.com.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
All right, we've got all that out of the way, Alex. Let's jump in now. You guys recently announced some new product feature releases. Why don't we jump in right there and see what's that about?
Yeah, our last release was called Hubble. And Hubble is significant for a couple of reasons. One, naming after the telescope. One of the things that we want to do is help people elevate their observability. And that came in two specific forms.
All right, I get it.
Yeah.
Good. I just got to ask, is the next release called Web?
We have considered other satellites. And in fact, we had Erica on our launch. She was actually a NASA scientist.
Really? Very cool.
So
all right.
one of the things that we know is very important to our customers is, if we bring a solution to market, and it's very, very powerful, is it easy to use? And are we taking advantage of the latest and greatest technology that's emerged in the market? On the ease of use side, one of the things that this Hubble launch, and we call it a launch, included was the recognition that when we introduced our logs and our metrics and our tracing explorer, we've seen an enormous increase in users engaging in the platform. And we supercharged that by adding one additional layer, which is how we leverage GPT or AI in our platform. And that happens in 4 specific locations. We have a chatbot that allows you to get guidance on how to use the tool. We'll actually allow the AI to write any of our query language for you if you'd like to do that. We call that Copilot. We also have 2 cool functionalities in terms of making your data more actionable. You can right-click on a field and observe and ask Ollie, or Ollie GPT specifically, to explain what an error means. And it will actually return an answer that helps you stop from having to copy and paste into Google and do outside investigations. The last thing that's most interesting is we leverage GPT to allow users to separate out their data and do those hard parsing and regex challenges that no one likes writing regexes, and anyone that has written them knows that regex101.com is their friend. And we wanted to kind of bring that into the product and make that easy for customers to use.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, this was released not here at the show. It was released earlier in the month.
October 4th.
What's been the feedback?
Well, we've more than doubled our monthly active users since we released that. Yeah.
And since October 4th?
Technically since late September, but yes.
Wow.
And it's really simple. We listen to our customers and we really care about what they what they say and how they experience ourselves on our platform. And when we say we're focusing on ease of use, we mean it.
So the entrepreneur in me just has to ask you.
Okay.
What were you waiting for?
You know, it's very easy to make very quick, bad decisions. It's a lot harder to take a data-driven approach to how to build a product better. And when we approach any problem at Observe, and it's built into our culture, we first of all figure out, this is an important problem. How can I measure the impact I can make on this problem? And that's how we measured usability. Now for AI, we kind of knew that it was going to be something special and it could help. We're still figuring out exactly how to measure the impact there, but every decision we make at Observe is grounded in what's best for our customers and how do we help make the market better.
So how much of this phenomenal growth in such a short period of time do you think is just attributable to kind of riding the AI wave, if you will?
That increase in active user growth actually wasn't tied to the AI release. It was more to the ease of use functionality that we brought. And I think that's important for any product, but more specifically one as powerful as ours. When you're solving big data problems, people get exposed to big data. And one of the things we thought very deeply about is how do we take the experience that a user has to have to get to the outcome they want and narrow that down and give them an obvious path to go through so that they don't have to deal with all of the problems if they just want to come in and check their logs and see what's not working. You know, sometimes it's the simplest question of, hey, is it easy to do this in the tool? And when we decided ourselves that it wasn't easy enough, then we started making some really serious changes, and that was backed by every single one of our customers agreeing with us back in the active user growth.
Sure. That's phenomenal, man. Alex, look, for those out here, this is damn impressive. Let's talk a little bit about KubeCon here now. I mean, it's only day one of the expo floor open and everything. What are you hearing from the crowd, from the attendees?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, this is my second KubeCon. I was new to it last year when we were in Detroit. And I really love this conference, Alan.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great community.
It's a great community, it's a great conference, and frankly, when people come up to our booth and want to talk to us, they want to talk about what we do. Yeah. There's not a lot of tire kickers. Everyone that's here seems to be operators, people that are experienced and steep in the problem. And I love whenever someone comes up and talks to us. I think the other thing I've seen in this particular venue specifically, the room is packed. It's crowded. So crowded that I think that we're going to have a bigger footprint next year.
Observe is, or the whole?
Both.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, this is a pretty big convention center.
Yeah.
I mean, short of breaking into sort of two different exhibit halls, which RSA used to do that. Now it's one big continuous one. It's hard. The other thing I will tell you, so we do the North American and the European.
Yeah.
So in Amsterdam in the spring, they actually said, look, I think it was 12,000 was the number. At 12,000, they stopped selling tickets. They did a waiting list. And a lot of people didn't get to the show. They were on the waiting list. I would not, I mean, as anti-business as that sounds, I wouldn't be surprised if they did something similar.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the quality of conversations and the quality of attendee is super high. And you asked about some of the conversations we're having when people come by. It's a variety of things, and a couple of themes that I see. I'm curious if other people that have come on the show have said the same, but people are continue to talk to us about saving money. They want to do more with less. No one has emerged after the last 2 years with bigger budgets.
Yep.
And I think they also want to figure out, do we need all of the tools? Is there a way we can both get some hard dollar savings and some soft dollar savings by compressing some tooling and aligning teams? We're also seeing a lot of push, and the DevOps teams are getting more involved in security conversations as well, which I guess...
there's no doubt.
Yeah, as a former security practitioner, if you had asked me 5 years ago if I thought these two markets would converge, I would not have said yes. Now, I think it's inevitable.
I think it's already happened.
Yeah.
Right? So here, there's a lot of convergence going on. There's security with DevOps into what we call DevSecOps.
Yep.
But there's also, there was a time, and I've been going to these conferences now for before COVID, so I don't know, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
There was a time where cloud native was very developer-centric, not
Yes.
as much ops-centric, but it was very distinct from DevOps.
Yes.
There was DevOps and there was cloud native. And then there was security. So you look at a company like ours, right? We have
Yeah.
DevOps.com,
Yep.
cloud native now, Security Boulevard.
Yeah.
And I always knew there was an inherent overlap between them. But we've seen much more than an overlap now. We've seen a conversion
Yes.
around this, with security being a primary concern of people. And you don't do cloud native today without doing DevOps.
Agreed.
And everything getting pushed out today, especially greenfield, not brownfield stuff, it's predominantly, probably 85% or better cloud native.
This is Techstrong TV.
Hey everyone, we're live back here at KubeCon. I hope you've been enjoying our coverage today. Mitchell Ashley, our CTO and GM of Techstrong Research, and I have been kind of splitting the duties because we're that booked with people. There's over 10,000 people here. I'm going to guess there's 12 to 15,000 people.
Yeah, there's a lot of people
at the event, maybe more. I'll know more. I'll find out tonight. But anyway, let me introduce you to our next guest. His name is Alex Burkhart. Alex is with Observe Inc.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, welcome to Techstrong TV. Thanks for being here with us at KubeCon.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. I appreciate you guys taking some time to talk to me today.
Absolutely. So let's start with this. Let's start with Alex.
Yeah.
This is Techstrong TV.
Hey everyone, we're live back here at KubeCon. I hope you've been enjoying our coverage today. Mitchell Ashley, our CTO and GM of Techstrong Research, and I have been kind of splitting the duties because we're that booked with people. There's over 10,000 people here. I'm going to guess there's 12 to 15,000 people.
Yeah, there's a lot of people
at the event, maybe more. I'll know more. I'll find out tonight. But anyway, let me introduce you to our next guest. His name is Alex Burkhart. Alex is with Observe Inc.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, welcome to Techstrong TV. Thanks for being here with us at KubeCon.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. I appreciate you guys taking some time to talk to me today.
Absolutely. So let's start with this. Let's start with Alex.
Yeah.
What do you do at Observe?
Yeah, so at Observe, I run our technical customer-facing team. We call it field engineering.
Yeah.
And we work with customers from the first interaction when they're in the sales cycle to figure out if Observe's a great solution for them, all the way to success and renewal and helping them realize value from their investment in our partnership.
Okay. And so you're at that role, but let's tell a little bit about more your personal journey.
Oh yeah, so I started as a computer scientist, actually in the Navy.
Really?
Yeah, I went to the Naval Academy, got a computer science degree, and they said, that's great, go drive some ships. So
Such is life in the Navy,
Yeah,
what do you
right.
expect? Right.
And then my journey brought me to Silicon Valley after I did some cybersecurity work for the Navy. And what I love more importantly than anything else is helping people find a way to use technology to solve a problem that makes their life better.
Excellent. Now, when did you come to Observe?
I've been to Observe for more than 3 years now. Yeah, I was employee 28, I think, if my numbers are right. Pre-customers, in fact.
Right,
The
really
same day
early.
I started, we signed our first customer.
Good for them. Good for you. Good for them. So, we don't have to assume. I know for a fact there are people out here who don't know Observe.
Yeah.
Have never observed Observe. Tell them, how would you describe what Observe is and does to our audience?
That's a great question, Alan. So at Observe, what we realized is observability is a data problem. So we started by building a data company. What we wanted to figure out is, can we bring a solution to market that allows customers to send any data they'd like, to correlate it, and interact with it in a way that allows them to get more value out of it more quickly. And what we've done is we brought a solution to market that unifies the observability tooling into one platform. It allows you to send logs, metrics, traces, and any other type of data, structured or unstructured, that you'd like to keep in your observable universe into one tool, one data store.
Love it. And before we jump into news and stuff, for people who want to just say, hey, I'd like to just see what their website is, what's the URL?
Yeah, our website is www.observeinc.com.
So it's observeinc.com.
Observeinc.com.
Great.
We're Observe Inc. technically, so observeinc.com.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
All right, we've got all that out of the way, Alex. Let's jump in now. You guys recently announced some new product feature releases. Why don't we jump in right there and see what's that about?
Yeah, our last release was called Hubble. And Hubble is significant for a couple of reasons. One, naming after the telescope. One of the things that we want to do is help people elevate their observability. And that came in two specific forms.
All right, I get it.
Yeah.
Good. I just got to ask, is the next release called Web?
We have considered other satellites. And in fact, we had Erica on our launch. She was actually a NASA scientist.
Really, very cool.
So
all right.
one of the things that we know is very important to our customers is, if we bring this solution to market, and it's very, very powerful, is it easy to use? And are we taking advantage of the latest and greatest technology that's emerged in the market? On the ease of use side, one of the things that this Hubble launch, and we call it a launch, included was the recognition that when we introduced our logs and our metrics and our tracing explorer, we've seen an enormous increase in users engaging in the platform. And we supercharged that by adding one additional layer, which is how we leverage GPT or AI in our platform.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We are here at KubeCon, Cloud Native Con in Paris, KubeCon Europe. And we're talking with a lot of fascinating people. We're of course talking Kubernetes, but bigger than that, we're talking about cloud and cloud native, cloud computing, all the aspects of that, all different parts of the stack. And we're joined by today Chuck Dubuque, who is with Red Hat. Welcome, Chuck.
Yeah, thank you. And I work for Red Hat. I'm a head of product marketing for Red Hat OpenShift.
Very nice.
Yep.
Great. So, when you and I kind of talked a little bit before, it's like, when are we going to talk about AI, right? Because you know it's going to come up.
It always comes up.
Why don't we just start there? What's happening, kind of the AI conversations that you're having at Red Hat and here at KubeCon?
Red Hat has been doing, with OpenShift, we've been doing predictive AI for almost 10 years. And seems like old hat nowadays, but everything from self-driving cars to machine vision, training the models, deploying them. The new excitement is around generative AI, and so we've created actually a product around that called OpenShift AI. We're very creative with our names, but the goal is to help customers who've already started down the cloud native pathway for development, and even those who haven't yet, to use OpenShift as a consistent platform across the entire life cycle of that development of an AI-based application.
Very good. Oh, one thing about OpenShift is, it's used in some very big infrastructures, very large application, telecom, a lot of different industries. I would imagine that's some good experience to bring to the larger kind of KubeCon audience and to the AI community as well.
Yeah, and some of our biggest customers are here in the show floor. We're going to be one of our largest customers, Goldman Sachs, will be doing a keynote talking about virtualization on Kubernetes. But yeah, even I think the 10 years or so that OpenShift is empowered by Kubernetes, we have built a platform that scales really well. In fact, our corporate parent, IBM, uses OpenShift to build its foundational model, which is watsonx AI. So you've got a platform that can scale if you can build one of these huge AI models like ChatGPT and others that are coming out. Most of our customers are going to be using watsonx AI or another off-the-shelf commercial or open source foundational model, and then they'll be needing to train it on their data. And one of the things that we're finding is that you need to bring your cloud native development team now to where your golden data assets live. The stuff you want to train it on probably lives behind your firewall in a data center, or maybe you went all in on cloud, but your particular golden data set, data source is in Amazon and your rest of your team is working in Azure or something like that. So the first thing that we see in an AI development pathway is stand up a cloud native platform. And in our case, we would love it for it to be OpenShift, but a Kubernetes with all of the services built in so that you can take that foundational model and train it to your data. And that's something that you got to do it close to your data. Sending all that data back and forth over the internet doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of that proprietary knowledge is stuff that you want to keep very secure and know that you're not endangering any of that while you're doing the training.
I'm guessing the few things that you've mentioned
Yeah.
answer this question I want to ask. But given that, IBM, OpenShift, you've been working with AI for a long time. I think folks that may be newer to it or kind of starting on the generative AI, you don't realize it's really a data management challenge, and it has its own workflows and pipelines that can be happening in parallel with other DevOps and software deployment pipelines, but they aren't always, one for one. That training a new or introducing a new LLM or a new model can happen with a release, without a release, in parallel.
Right.
What are some of the lessons that you feel like you've learned doing this for a while?
A great example was in the oil and gas industry. We had a customer who was doing a lot of data analysis using AI models for interpreting all the data that they collect from sonar and from other data sources. Their data scientists ran on their own laptops, which had $1 million worth of data on it.
All production ready, I'm sure. Just
each of them had tweaked their own systems so that the model worked on their laptop and not on somebody else's. So one of the first things that that those kinds of companies benefited from was the standardization of a single platform. So yes, there's value in having keen insights that are special to you, to your organization. But if your colleague in the next cubicle can't use it, then its value is diminished.
Right.
So that single platform that, yes, you can still access it from a laptop, but it's keeping your data secure so that if you lose your laptop on the airplane, your corporate team is not going to have words with you. Down to the fact that the model you develop is production ready without you having to necessarily build it with production readiness in mind, because your platform engineers have given you known safe paths and guardrails so that you could start with a science project, and if it pans out, it already meets your supply chain requirements, your regulatory requirements, your standardizations, your corporate policies. And that's, I think, one of the bigger benefits of working with something like OpenShift is that we provide a solid foundation for all of that so that your platform engineers can actually move a little up the stack in terms of setting policies, not putting the plumbing in to support it.
It's one of the nice things both about virtualized and stacked environments and also platform engineering is, you can do the science project on your laptop, but you can spin up sandboxes and science project environments, right? You don't want to necessarily have everything that you're going to have in production, but you want that transition to go, all right, to go over this next step. Right. I don't have to redo everything to get it ready and make all the mistakes that I always make each time going through, plus just the effort. Just use that part of your kind of supply chain process to get to that production ready state.
Yeah, and AI is moving so fast right now. ChatGPT today is better than it was 3 months ago.
Yeah, Claude comes out and poof, everybody talks about that now. And
and
Claude 3, Claude 4.
So right now there's real business value to being constantly releasing fast, trying to catch that innovation wave, because you are seeing measurable improvements in results, almost every day. So having the ability to keep retraining your model, maybe switch out the model or move it to the next version of the model, get that quickly into the hands of your customers, that has real business value. And so customers that maybe haven't gone in fully with cloud native practices and the cultural surroundings of that, that's something that on our consulting side, on our training side, we help a lot of our customers with the cultural aspects of that. How do they move those practices from the team that manages the web app that is super dynamic, but the rest of the company is a little bit behind the times, to now we've got to bring that into where we keep our database administrators, and where the big iron is that holds the data that we want to tap to train the model. Now we've got to bring people with that mindset and that culture into that environment. So it's not just the technology, it's the people, the tools, the training, the mindset, and the learnings that come from that. And we're seeing that sort of accelerating now with AI as the driver.
It seems like we kind of added a whole nother layer of complexity to that with, yes, it's data, but it's distributed data, distributed models, both our own and third-party services, and what are you giving them access to, and is that it being integrated into their own models, or is it a service you're running? It's kind of the whole data management. Where is it?
Yes.
You keep track of it. It's now even that much more complex.
Yeah, and when you think about things like software supply chain, software bill of materials, now you've got to think about data bill of material for your AI model.
That's a really good point.
What's the training? Have you ensured that it's learning what credit card numbers look like, not learning what your customers' credit cards are? And those are things that are important to track through the process. And again, we try to make it easier with more robust telemetry. We work upstream in the open telemetry project here in Kubernetes to make it so that you can get that instrumentation, the data points you need to answer those questions of provenance and what was trained against what, and where did this model come from. Those are just as important as which version of C++ compiler you used and which libraries you used to make an application.
I think we should take the data bill of materials idea and create the next, instead of find my device, find my data.
Yes.
And tell me where that stuff is.
Yeah, and I think we're here in Paris and Europe is really at the forefront of those regulations.
Yeah, they very much are.
I live in the US. GDPR effects are just starting to become felt where they're old hat in Europe, and I know that regulations about what of my data personally or otherwise can be used to train a model are going to be very important regulatory hurdles globally soon, and very soon in Europe, for showing that you've trained your models in compliance, in good faith, and can document that.
Very good. Well, any other highlights? Anything you're looking forward to that you're like, hey, I've gone to this member meetup session or this talk or whatever?
Yeah, we're like I said, we've got some great customers talking at the keynotes, and I'm personally excited about the recent release of OpenShift 4.15, which has got all sorts of new features for our customers, but you can pretty much check out everything at www.redhat.com.
.redhat.com. Good. There's a lot of good stuff on there too.
Yep.
I'm particularly interested. I have to talk to you after about this whole data management and AI and models. And I think it's very underappreciated. I know there are people who appreciate that problem,
right,
but it's a massive challenge. It's a real big one. Well, Chuck, how do you say your last name?
Dubuque.
Dubuque, like Iowa.
It's like Iowa.
I wanted to be able to say that. So, Chuck, it's good talking with you. Have a good rest of the conference. We're just getting started here, so hang on, grab that coat. Just
Thanks.
Keep going. Okay. All right. Thanks for having Chuck on with us today from Red Hat, talking about AI and OpenShift and Kubernetes and all kinds of great things, data, along with all of that. So we have more great interviews just like this one with Chuck, and we look forward to having you on. We may play a little bit of a video here, but we'll be back in just a few. So hang tight, stick to the same bat channel, bat station. We'll see you in a few.
Discover the cutting-edge insights. Discover the cutting-edge insights of our new show, AI Times, a series that explores the limitless potential of artificial intelligence. Sponsored by the AI Infrastructure Alliance, the AI Times is at the forefront of the AI revolution, tackling the crucial questions of how we can leverage AI for the betterment of humanity. Stay ahead of the curve as this show delves into all things surrounding AI, including trends, pressing concerns, and the positive impact AI is making around the globe. AI Times.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond. CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and Media Ops CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts. This is where CISOs talk. Join us on digitalanarchist.com and techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing-related content. ContainerJournal.com
This is
covers
Techstrong
all
TV.
Just checking here. Hey, everyone. Oh, we're here. Just a little ad lib. Anyway, we're live. We're live in Chicago, day 2 of KubeCon.
This is Techstrong TV.
Just checking here. Hey, everyone. Oh, we're here. Just a little ad lib. Anyway, we're live. We're live in Chicago, day 2 of KubeCon. Really happy to be joined by our friend Austin Parker. Same Austin, different hat.
Quite literally.
Quite literally.
Yeah, literally
Different
changed hats this year.
So for those who watch Techstrong, Austin's a frequent, infrequent, not as often as we'd like, guest on Techstrong TV. But we always love to catch up with Austin when we're at an event where Austin is, and happened to be here at KubeCon this year, so we were able to lasso him on in. Austin, first of all, welcome and thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always an absolute pleasure, and definitely made some room in the calendar for this chat.
I appreciate you, man. So, Austin, we're going to talk about 2 things today. The first thing I want to talk about is the hat, right?
Oh.
So new hat,
New hat,
logo.
new logo.
It goes with a new job.
Yeah.
A new Austin.
New outlook on life.
Yeah. Tell us, what's the deal?
So, as longtime viewers might know, I was at Lightstep for quite a few years. We got acquired by ServiceNow, and it's a great team over there. ServiceNow builds an amazing product that solves huge problems for huge companies. But it was time to make a change. Sometimes you gotta get back into the startup life, and I looked at what was out there, and Honeycomb really aligned with what I think is important about both as a place to work, but also what's important about observability and open telemetry, and we share a lot of the same values around that. So I started a couple months ago. You might have seen it on LinkedIn, and I'm super excited to be Honeycomb's Director of Open Source.
Absolutely. So there you have it. Honeycomb's Director of Open Source, Austin Parker. Now, just the same way Austin's no stranger to us, either is Honeycomb, or neither is Honeycomb. Of course, Christina Charity Majors is a frequent guest on our video series. Liz Fong Jones is, of course, very well known out of Honeycomb. They're a great company.
Fantastic.
In many ways, they kind of helped invent the observability market ecosystem, if you will. What kind of you spoke about an alignment, Austin? What you think was the alignment? Like what go a little deeper on that.
So I think there's especially when you're at a startup, there's always trade-offs, right? And even at big companies, there's trade-offs, but they're different kinds. But when I looked around and I looked at, one thing I spent a lot of time researching is what's new in observability. And if you look, if you look around us right now, there's quite a few, observability tools popping into the market, and a lot of those are built on the strength of open telemetry. Enabling universal standard instrumentation for things like metrics, logs, and traces, and that has freed up just so much room for people to experiment and invent new things and innovate without having to make these really big investments into instrumenting a Node.js server for the 14th time today, right? And what I noticed, a lot of these new companies have in common is that they all look a lot like Honeycomb from a technology perspective. They're bringing together metrics, logs, and traces. They're putting it in a wide column store database, and so you get infinite cardinality, and you can do these really interesting queries, and you can see what's different and what's similar, and it's like that's all a lot like Honeycomb. And one of the things I've learned over the years is that one of the biggest indicators that you've got it right is when you have people copying you.
Right.
And I figured, hey, if you're gonna, why mess with the knockoff? Just go straight to the source, right? So I'm very, I think they've got I've said this before, I've always been impressed by what they've built, right? They've built this amazing tool for experts. I think what is different about them and a lot of people is because they have this strong foundation to build on, we can take that and go towards something that is for everyone. Because I think Honeycomb gets a little bit of a bad rap as being like this really complicated, hard to use thing. And it, depending on how you're approaching it, it can be or can't be. But one thing that I think we can do better at is being a product literally for everybody, right? No matter where you are on your understanding of observability, your journey towards it. I've read the Charity's book, and it's a great book. Not everyone wants to read a 3 or 4 books before they start using a product, right? So, and this isn't just Honeycomb, this is everyone in kind of this space. We make it really hard for people to just jump in and find answers to problems. And I think it's interesting if you think back to 10, 15 years ago, companies like New Relic, how did they get started? They got started providing pretty straightforward answers to common questions in things like Ruby applications. And we've lost that a little bit with all of this like observability pipelines and AI and secret scanning. All the breadth of things you can do now has made everything very complex. And now the tools are almost as complex as the things that you're trying to observe with the tools. So to that end, I think we have a really great proof point of how this can work. So last week we introduced Honeycomb for Kubernetes, which is an opinionated, basically an opinionated set of features on top of Honeycomb that let you really quickly and easily get started sending open telemetry data from your Kubernetes cluster, from your application to Honeycomb, and then we curate that data. We only give you what you need to know, as an application developer, because there's a lot of, Kubernetes is super complex, tons to it. You don't need all that data though to understand how is Kubernetes affecting your app and vice versa. So we curate that data stream, we give you exactly what you need, we put it in places that are easy for you to access, and we guide you to it. We say, hey, we see you're using Kubernetes, so we're gonna just show you these things. And I think that's an example of how these very powerful platforms can be used to provide these really curated experiences that don't require you to necessarily read all these books first.
So, I have my own theory. Surprise.
Hit me with it.
So I think when you look at the observability space, right, and especially as it relates to companies that look similar to Honeycomb, there's a couple of reasons. One is sort of, I call, a parallel evolution. You got a certain fact pattern, a certain problem you're trying to solve, and there's a lot of ways to skin the cat, but if you truly do have the best way to solve the problem, other people are going to come at it and come to that same conclusion.
Sure.
So parallel evolution. Secondly, is just flat out copycats, right? There's always people, and I've been in tech, Austin, longer than you.
Oh, sure.
There's someone who says, we could do what they do and just change some of the names to protect the innocent and do it cheaper and better, or at least cheaper.
Yeah. No, imitations is a serious form of flattery, right?
Absolutely. So there is that as well. But then I think unique to observability is not, in spite of what you might say, is not an easy problem to solve.
Absolutely.
right? And I think one of the big successes of the CNCF was moving beyond Kubernetes to open source projects like OpenTelemetry, like Prometheus, that allowed the whole community access to these tools that gave us the insights and the ability to wrap our arms around the data, because observability is a big data issue in many ways.
You're exactly right. I think that's one of the things. So it's been on the topic of OpenTelemetry. I've been involved in that since the beginning. I was actually, I just was elected to the OpenTelemetry Governance Committee, which we make sure it's working for end users and contributors alike, right?
Yep.
So one of the things that we're doing right now is we're really trying to take a look at like where are things in the project. And I was talking about this earlier this week at Observability Day, where the things that we set out to do 5 years ago, we have done. We said we were going to have metrics, traces, logs. We were going to deprecate open tracing, deprecate open census, and have this stuff done. Now, at the time, we said we'd do it in 6 months. So it took a little bit longer than that. However, we've achieved our original goals. And now the question becomes, where do we go from here? So I think there's a couple of things that involves, but one of them, to your point about data, is I think OpenTelemetry is really proving to be a black swan event for the entire monitoring/observability industry, because it's changed. Previously, you would have these vertically integrated, instrumentation, storage, query, visualization, alerting, all these things at the top, and it was all really bound together. But now with OpenTelemetry, it knocks it all on its side, because now the instrumentation, the actual data itself, is down here and it's independent of everything above it. Which means that like the storage can now become sort of independent. The query layer can become independent. The visualization layer can become independent. And I think the future of observability tools looks a lot less like a platform where you're just getting every single possible thing you could want in the same provider, and more almost like a toolbox of best-in-class tools that different teams are going to use, and it's all going to operate on sort of the shared data layer, this data lake. And how companies are going to differentiate themselves is going to be two ways. One, how they help you manage this tsunami of data that OpenTelemetry gives you, and building those curated experiences and figuring out what you need to know and what you can kind of throw away or you can look at later. And two, building really interesting and unique sort of visualization, alerting, understandability kind of tooling.
Absolutely. Now, it's cool. I don't want to make it all about OpenTelemetry, but look, it's the second largest projects in the CNCF, and for good reason.
Yeah.
And one of the interesting things about Honeycomb,
Hey everybody, welcome back. We are at KubeCon Paris, KubeCon Cloud Native Con 2024 Europe. The buzz, just the energy and number of people here is kind of insane. I was just talking with one of our friends here, and it seems like we're at a next level of this conference. It's really kind of exploded in a good way. So it's great to be talking with great friends and colleagues from the industry. Speaking of which, I'm joined by Ur, who is with our friends at MinIO, Object Storage.
Yes, Object Storage.
We've talked to you and Jonathan and folks at different times, kind of keeping up on what's happening. Well, first tell us about your role at the company at MinIO.
Ur Tigli, I'm the CTO at MinIO, and MinIO is a high-performance distributed object storage, all about enterprise object storage in the modern world. And today's workloads, AI and KubeCon here in Paris is amazing for us because it's our best conference. And from this is the first day. So the first day I've been at the booth for about 2 hours, and we got more than 300 people stopping by at our booth just by the 2 hours that's been, and it's non-stop since morning.
It's not even, well, it's barely lunchtime already.
I just walk away to meet with you here. Like, it's been crazy busy at the booth. There's a huge interest for Minayo. We've been quite popular. Minayo has been around for about 10 years now. We're going to be, at the end of this year, it's going to be our 10th year. It's been an open source company doing S3-based object storage. We use S3 APIs in the front end, full stack enterprise-grade object storage. And we just announced last week our Minayo Enterprise product. It's 6 products put together from our learnings from our largest enterprise customers using AI workloads mainly. We've been always a popular choice for data workloads, and with that we have built 6 of these products to enable enterprise customers to do KMS on their own, to do load balancing on their own in front of Minayo software, to do their own catalog database, which all the namespace of Minayo can be reflected on this database, and we give them a GraphQL fast search of different objects that they have in there. When they grow from hundreds of objects, thousands of objects to millions of objects, this becomes critical for them to be able to understand what they have on their data infrastructure. So this is our inflection point in our growth of the company, because we are going from different deployments in enterprise to providing them different software products to manage it at large scale. We have huge customers now going into hundreds of petabytes, and they're planning exabytes of deployment with us. So it's critical for us to provide them the tools to manage that. And that's why we are excited to be here, because of this announcement last week that with Minayo Object Storage, Enterprise Object Storage for enterprise customers, and KubeCon is our best conference ever. Like, for many years it's been our best conference, and the crowd here loves Minayo, and they like to use Minayo in different projects, from smallest projects to large deployment with large enterprises.
Now, being a fellow CTO, you know, you really do appreciate what it takes to go from a startup 10 years ago,
Absolutely.
introducing a product, and trying to support very large scale, very large enterprise service providers,
Yep.
whatever it might be. It isn't just more of the same. It's new problems get introduced.
Totally.
How do I manage all those objects? How do I manage the security of them, the key management of it? How do I, maybe they aren't all provisioned the same way or configured the same way. Where are they, right?
Exactly, where are they? So they are everywhere. We have enterprise customers doing deployments on Kubernetes. We have enterprise customers doing, the same customer can be doing the deployment on VMs or bare metal. So our goal is to bring all of these deployments under one single pane of glass. I always talk about Minayo's inflection point in its history. 20 years ago, when VMware started with their hypervisor, with ESXi, vSphere as the core of the product, it was just hypervisors. They were just making sure that the hypervisor is chosen and the best product. We have been in that phase up till last week. Now, and VMware did what they did with enterprise. They built their vCenter to build and manage everything under their umbrella.
Networking and security.
Networking and security, everything. Minayo is under the same phase, is going through the same phase. We are just in our vCenter inflection point, just like what VMware has grown into after they came up with vCenter and management. We are giving all of our enterprise customers a single pane of glass to manage all their deployments, regardless of where they're running it. They can be running in a public cloud, on an AKS kind of a service, a Kubernetes service. They can be running on an edge, on a single instance, single node. We can still manage it under this umbrella with Minayo Enterprise Object Storage. That's why Minayo Enterprise is bringing everything together, but also giving these 5 other different components, like a KMS. People don't want to deal with an external KMS in the enterprise world. Yes, there is a CISO organization that has a KMS, but the object storage people, they don't want to do the integration. They want a simple solution for their key management, and we built our KMS with basic key rotation. We have no desire to compete with any KMS product or different companies.
But it's different for data than devices and users.
They want a simple, we always implemented the Amazon S3 framework for key management, for encryption, whether it's SSE S3 or SSE KMS. We use that same framework. what we did with this enterprise products, we built our own KMS, and we are providing the KMS to our customers. Or we built a catalog where they can search in this database approach, they can search all of their objects. Or we built something called Cache, Minayo Cache. The Cache product is built because, to your point, we learned from our biggest customers. One of the world's biggest streaming company uses Minayo, and that company needed a lot of caching to feed into the CDNs. The same problem that this morning I'm talking with the AI folks, the same problem is there as well, and caching will help them to feed into the CDNs for a streaming company, or the AI foundational models needs to be loaded fast. They can do training fast as well, but training is not their main concern. Main concern after they train the model, they want to upload their models into the DGX boxes or into the H100 or whatever as product or a cloud-based product that they're using wrapped around. They want to upload those models fast, and they need Minayo, and they're coming to Minayo for that. And whether you're using some specialized hardware, you don't need any of that to foundational models to be uploaded fast. You need a very fast network and a high-performance object store. And we provide the high-performance push part because of the technology we have, and the networking they need to design for. One customer I was talking this morning, he has a 400 gigabit network, 4 times 100 probably, or 400 natively. I didn't understand if they're doing both, but if they have a 400 gigabit network, they can upload very fast using NVMe technology. Commodity hardware, Minayo software, you can feed any GPU any way you want to do the work, whether for foundational model uploads or you're doing training, doesn't matter. You can get very fast AI data infrastructure with Minayo.
Very good. So just to step back a little bit, I think I asked Jonathan each time I talked to him about this too. Streaming is a really clear example because you can see, very large pieces of data that are getting streamed, distributed out to end users, viewers, whatever it might be.
Exactly.
What are some other perfect uses of object storage versus structured, unstructured, traditional kind of databases?
So streaming, you think that streaming is easy from a theoretical object storage use case, but honestly, learning with this large customer doing streaming, it's very random data. And when you think about streaming as a use case on its own, you think that, it's just streaming of data, it's big blobs of data,
so
origin data.
Next block on the disk, just send it on.
But when you of the media companies that are doing DVR or live to VOD or like video on demand or live video tracking or those kind of applications that they have, whether external or in-house that they make, when they come to storage, they're very random. So it's very critical to explain to, and I try to explain to everybody, why do we need, for a streaming use case, why do we need high-end storage, like NVMe or SSD flash type of storage, QLC, TLC type of storage? You do need it when the numbers are large and all of them are coming to you as a storage origin. That becomes very random I/O profile. So that's the biggest misconception actually with the streaming use case. Yes, streaming of one origin media file is linear or serial, and that could be a really good use case for a big blob of object, but it's not, it's random when you're feeding a lot of them. So that's number one point. Number 2 point, or to answer your question, other use cases which you think of really streaming may not be streaming. We have customers in large enterprises at financial services, a transactional, a large service company that is doing a lot of transactions, let's put it this way, a West Coast company, and they are doing all of their merchant transaction reporting using our data. So it sounds like a very different use case, but primary storage, they use object storage us. All of their content management, they use us. They started using us, they went from an appliance storage to Minayo as a software and a commodity hardware. They liked this a lot, now they are doing that. One of the other credit card companies using us for their cybersecurity operations or cybersecurity analytics. That's 20 plus petabytes of data that they're collecting, and they're running their analytics on top of us. So that's another use case. We have data infrastructure, large use cases of Hadoop. I've been saying this for 5-6 years, but Hadoop is, and one of the supporters of Hadoop is kind of getting not liked by the industry a lot. So Hadoop, especially HDFS, is in a downtrend, and people are taking out HDFS, putting MinIO with its erasure coding. They're saving from the get-go 50% off, because Hadoop uses 3 copies minimum replication mode, or sometimes 4 if they need an extra. We use erasure coding, which is 1.2 to 1.5, depending on which erasure coding.
Big difference, yeah.
It's a huge difference coming, and
You're talking about petabytes, terabytes. That's a lot of data.
And before joining MinIO, I was at Bank of America, and I was running their infrastructure for storage, server, and data centers. And biggest customers of mine 7-8 years ago was a Hadoop cluster or the Hadoop team. We would get a large amount of customers, like 100 plus nodes in a Hadoop cluster, but the CPU utilization on those clusters were 2%. And talking to customer, everybody has the same experience. A lot of customers buy Hadoop clusters just for their capacity, and they don't use those CPUs. It's, in my opinion, it's waste of CPUs. That's why Hadoop use case is an excellent use case for MinIO, because of the work that Hadoop community did with S3A. S3A is a connector, you change the HDFS connector to S3A, and MinIO runs automatically, no need to change anything else. So that's another use case. I think 1, 2, 3 different use cases, very popular ones.
And that's just the start.
That's just the start for MinIO.
But I think a common thread through all that is when you're doing it at scale, it's a much different problem than doing it at serving half a dozen a minute or something. You know.
Data lakes, there are lots of names for it. Data lake, data warehouse, data lakehouse.
Fabric, data fabric, all that.
Open table formats is very popular, and we are all playing a role in that as well, and Hadoop is part of that. With ML, like machine learning, before machine learning, data analytics has been done in many companies. With machine learning, it was ML ops, machine learning. Now with AI, it's AI ops and AI data infrastructure. But the core of it is a data lake. It's some large data store where you keep it, and S3 APIs is the de facto standard with all AI workloads. The new generation, whether it's foundational model tools, to build them, to train them, or to vector databases, underneath them is all object storage. And if you look at them, all is at MinIO. Like there are vector databases, they all document MinIO in their documentation from the start.
Really? That's interesting.
And wow. AI ops, ML ops is changing into AI ops. They're all using. So there's maybe 10-20% of the ML ops, AI ops world that needs a transactional DB for one reason or another to track some of the rest of it can go into an object store easily. So we play a large role in the ML ops, AI ops world, as well as underneath vector databases. And because of that, the tools all use S3 and they come to us. So that's the story for us. Large amount of data lakes. We are Switzerland when it comes to data lakes. You can use Trino, Presto, Dremio type of modern query engines. They all need to do some S3 queries against us. Or you can do external table from Snowflake to Teradata. They all use offloading with NOS in Teradata, old school appliance world, to Snowflake doing external tables on MinIO, and you can run same Snowflake query against us, extension of Snowflake tables.
Well, I'm sorry we couldn't get you going to kind of talk about this. You know, honestly. No, that's a great topic. Who knew data and storage are still sexy?
It is.
I mean, nothing happens without it, right? For sure, and especially at the volumes we're talking about. Yep. Well, congratulations on the enterprise announcement.
Thank you.
And the compliments that brings to the customers that have been using the product, who maybe don't need all of that yet, but for the folks that do, you know, those kind of things are vital.
One or the other, but like some of them needs all, but they're very useful. They're all solving one specific problem.
Yep, absolutely. Well, definitely stop by the MinIO booth if you haven't already, or check them out online.
Definitely online.
And
min.io.
Min.io. Thank you very much.
Very simple. We go with simplistic across all of our marketing, websites, cards, everything is very simple.
Bin.io. I think there's a hidden meeting there. I kind of think I get it now. Okay, no, it's great talking to you, and good luck with the rest of the show, and congrats on the announcement.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Fantastic guest again. Thanks for being with us for this segment. We have more. We have a full day, a full lineup. We're just getting started, so stay tuned. And if we're replaying a previous KubeCon interview, great, hang tight. We'll be back with you with another live streamed interview in just a minute. So we'll see you in just a second.
Discover the cutting-edge insights of our new show. Discover the cutting-edge insights of our new show, AI Times, a series that explores the limitless potential of artificial intelligence. Sponsored by the AI Infrastructure Alliance, the AI Times is at the forefront of the AI revolution, tackling the crucial questions of how we can leverage AI for the betterment of humanity. Stay ahead of the curve as this show delves into all things surrounding AI, including trends, pressing concerns, and the positive impact AI is making around the globe. AI Times.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption.
This is Techstrong TV.
Hi everybody, welcome back to KubeCon 2023 here in Chicago. A lot of great announcements happening at the show, and I have the privilege of being joined by Avi Friedman. Avi is with Kentic. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
This is Techstrong TV.
Hi everybody, welcome back to KubeCon 2023 here in Chicago. A lot of great announcements happening at the show, and I have the privilege of being joined by Avi Friedman. Avi is with Kentic. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here again.
Good to have you here. And some exciting, well, first of all, what do you do at Kentic? Tell us a little bit about your role.
I'm one of the co-founders and I run the company. So I am a nerd, but also nerd about business as well as technology now.
Fantastic. I want to make sure we got that in.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what kind of things you're talking about at the show, maybe some announcements.
Sure. So Kentic is a network observability company. We have an observability-based platform, but we've been replacing the appliances and Windows software that the IT industry and network industry has been using. And we've always taken a pretty broad approach of what is infrastructure, and that's included cloud native. So we've had some Kubernetes visibility, but here we're launching Kentic Kube, which is even more visibility into the entire Kubernetes estate, integrated with the visibility about how all the clusters connect to each other between clouds across the internet through the hybrid infrastructure. So we're pretty excited about that.
Great mysteries of Kubernetes. Oh,
of networking, Kubernetes, exactly.
The Raiders of the Lost Ark of Kubernetes here, digging into
Exactly, well there's a myth that all this stuff talks to each other cloud native by extrasensory perception, but ultimately the network somewhere is connecting all this stuff together.
What is it, the things we don't understand is magic, right?
Exactly.
There's some saying about that.
Sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Yes,
I think that's
the quote I was thinking of that I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
So tell us, I mean, you're originally coming from a network perspective on observability.
Yeah.
As you embrace Kubernetes, is that still looking at it for a network or operations audience? Or you think, some people approach it as a developer kind of view into what's happening. Or are there multiple personas that you take?
We're generally going to be the place where the infrastructure network teams, whether it's architecture, operations, infrastructure, are going to be living. But often the security team, developers, the cluster operations, they'll come into Kentic to look at something that's, again, especially if they need to look outside of the Kubernetes infrastructure and figure out where there's an issue between, but understanding pods and namespaces and processes and all that, we're bringing that all together but tying it to the rest of the infrastructure. So we are more infrastructure or network persona-based, but we have users in many other groups inside the company. And we also have partnerships with New Relic, Sumo Logic, other observability companies where we'll feed them data, with our view. But like many people here, we have an eBPF agent taking eBPF approach as a great way to get that kind of enriched telemetry from the Kubernetes infrastructure.
eBPF being able to be processes inside the
eBPF being able to look at the traffic, where the kernel's aware of it, and bring in a lot of enrichment so that you can see not just something happened from this port to that, but what process, what application and what Kubernetes context in terms of pod and namespace and all that it's actually running in.
Interesting. How is the infrastructure, maybe kind of platform and network groups, how are they taking on Kubernetes? There's a lot to learn. I mean, it's complex to anybody, whether you're an infrastructure, software infrastructure, or app, or cloud kind of person. Are there things you can do to help people kind of gain an understanding of how Kubernetes functions, what the purpose of a cluster and a pod and all this stuff, all those agents and things that are part of the architecture?
Yeah, well, there's a couple things we help them with. One is the state of the Kubernetes infrastructure. The other is what's running on top of it and how it's performing or not. Because running inside Kubernetes as opposed to on routers and switches, you can actually see performance, you can see application traffic, you can see, again, that Kubernetes context. So we're primarily trying to understand how are the applications inside Kubernetes running, but a byproduct of what we're doing is that sometimes the network people that are trying to understand, is the Kubernetes cluster itself having a problem? Kentik is helping with that. And the first version of what we did only looked at traffic that was active at a given time, but because Kubernetes is so dynamic, we needed a more complete vision. So what we're launching with Kentik Kube is looking at the entire estate, the entire state, whether there's actually traffic there or not, which helps especially when there's problems with load balancing, problems with orchestration, which are some of that Kubernetes complexity that you mentioned. Now our persona, the people that are primarily using Kentik, are probably not the people that own that, but they do need to figure out mean time to innocence, is this something that team should be looking at? And so that's where we're helping them, and then if that team needs to see, why does my network team, why does my cloud team think there's a problem, then they'll come into Kentik or we'll be pushing data to look at that. So primary user are the infrastructure focused, but going up the stack as people do the debugging, which is typically, we're not trying to be the last line debugging monitoring platform for the Kubernetes infrastructure itself, but we do need visibility into the entire state of it.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're obviously getting a good visibility into the application.
Yeah.
What are the environment that's operating on? How is it performing? Yeah. You mentioned security. How does security come into this?
Well, network has always been a key source of food for security people. Where Kentik started on the internet and cloud side, denial of service attacks have always been a very big thing. And coming at it from an observability perspective instead of an appliance perspective, we've always, since 2014 when we launched, stored everything. So we don't do roll-ups, you can always ask any questions. So we are a forensic platform, we're just very focused on the operational use cases. But just as sometimes we have cluster operations team come in and use us, security teams, when they find out that Kentik has all this data, come and say, let's use that. And we don't charge per user, so we try to go adjacent and get those security teams using it. But again, we're not the complete platform for the SOC, but if they're looking for that forensic capability to say, what happened last week, last month, integrate threat feeds, and understand maybe there's traffic from a process to the outside world that there shouldn't be, Kentik has the visibility on that, and very forensically. So it's in that adjacent world where they're trying to do things, they don't really have a good platform for it, and Kentik can be that. Typically, again, it's a partner organization inside that company that's buying it, but then we're enabling that security team to get that kind of functionality. So there, we're partnering with CrowdStrike, SentinelOne type companies to be part of that security ecosystem rather than trying to be that, we're only a couple hundred people, so there's a limit to how much we can do.
Yeah, that's several big oceans to boil,
yeah,
right?
There's different terminology. I mean, it's all the same stuff underneath. Networking is just tunnels and routing tables and
protocols,
but it's got different names and bugs in every cloud and every on-prem. So there's a limited world that any one company can play in until they get to a certain size.
That's one of the things that, in my work is trying to find common denominators. It's like in the security world, we all know about, we talk about ports and protocols and in the world, and APIs and things to protect that, and it's very much what we think about in cloud native, microservices.
And I think in the Kubernetes world has to bring to the security and the traditional operation worlds is going from ports and protocols to ports and protocols and processes, right? Because typically, even in a world where you had a DPI solution in a security team, you didn't really know what was happening inside the computer. An eBPF gives you a tremendous ability to get that instrumentation. Now it's got some challenges because it only sees what terminates on the kernel. So if you've programmed your kernel to ignore certain stuff, most eBPF solutions won't actually see that traffic. we come at it from a little old person perspective, so we see all that. But we'll, even if you're not running Kubernetes, we'll see that there was traffic attempted, dropped, so that makes it interesting to security teams also.
Interesting. So, Kintiq Kube, is that available now? Or are you kind of in preview, or it's fully
we
available?
previewed it last year, and it's fully launched right now,
Okay,
and would love for people to give it a shot.
Very good. So is it hosted? Is it, I can download it, run in my data center? What's the model?
Kintiq is hosted where we run it as a cloud service. We do run private clusters for people that are of a certain size and won't let their data out, but we're not licensed software that someone installs and manages. Okay. We do have agents that are largely open source, or at least source available, that people can run to, in the eBPF world, observe traffic or encrypt telemetry so that it's not going unencrypted over the internet.
Well, you also have the kind of privacy controls, regulatory environment, in certain countries.
Yeah. We take traffic data from the largest enterprise and service providers in the world, so that's something we had to deal with since when we started.
Yeah, I would imagine you did pretty early on. Yeah. Well, and it's evolving all the time too. Yeah. Hard to keep up with that. What was the kind of greatest thing that you learned from the time you started your kind of beta preview to launch? What did you learn from your customers, user people working with it?
It was sort of non-obvious given our background, but the big thing that we had everyone saying was, I want to see the entirety of my Kubernetes estate, even for things that are inactive right now.
Okay.
And the way that we first built Kintiq Kube with eBPF was, we were really taking an eBPF only view, but we needed to build metric scraping and understanding to go reach out and API scrape to understand the entirety of the Kubernetes infrastructure, even if there was no eBPF visibility, for some of the debugging and mean time to innocence things to make sense. So that was what we built over the last 6 months, and that is part of what we launched. Coming at it from a traffic perspective, we figured, well, if there's no traffic, it's not a problem, but on both the operations and security sides, we saw people asking to see more. We figured that was more something they would get from Datadog or New Relic or one of the other companies that they might use as a larger observability application focused, but apparently there's some gaps there too, and we're happy to fill those.
Is that because of the kind of the ephemeral nature of,
exactly.
it's what's here now is not what was there then, right? And I need that full context.
Yeah. To see something historically and be able to aggregate it, they really needed to see even the things that are ephemeral, but also most of our customers have some portions of Kubernetes where they're not able to run eBPF traffic observation with us or competitors of larger observability players. And sometimes you see traffic going there, but to be able, so in Kintiq, we have a very broad ability to enrich traffic. So by taking data from the Kubernetes metadata, even if there's no eBPF agent installed, even if you're just looking at NetFlow from a router on the other side, we can still know what pod and namespace it went to by updating, on a second's time frame, all that ephemeral orchestration and taking all the rest of the network data and applying it. So
interesting. That's a sizable challenge.
You
don't need me to tell you that.
But we started trying to understand the entire internet, all the users and DNS traffic across the entire internet. So this is large scale, but only the same kind of scale that we've been running at since we started.
There are bigger problems, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious, one of the things we always have to deal with is variations, variants, different distributions of Kubernetes, service provider versions.
Yeah.
What are the ones that do you work with pretty much everybody's Kubernetes, or you had to kind of selectively be able to figure out which ones you're going to be able to work with?
So far, looking at the common APIs has been sufficient. We have a static binary, we haven't had any issues running it. We probably run on 6 different Kubernetes, we can call them distributions, as daemon sets without an issue on the eBPF side. And then the API side has been pretty common. So I would say the clouds are much more of a pain in the ass to both build for, because they're all different, and then they change pretty frequently and rapidly. So
I can imagine.
We've done the same thing already for VPC flow logs and OCI, Amazon, Google, Azure, trying to make sense of not just it as syslog like you'd see in CloudWatch, but looking at the APIs, building topology. It's actually been much harder in the cloud than for Kubernetes.
Why is that? You're talking about VPCs. I mean, we think of VPNs being pretty standard from a protocol standpoint, but what is it that's challenging
Well,
about
as I said, underneath, the cloud providers like to pretend it's not networking, but it is. It's routing tables and filters, ACLs.
At some level, it's got eventually, right?
But they all have their own weird names and primitives. In this cloud, you can have one VM be in multiple VPCs, one interface be in multiple VPCs, and that one you can't. And then to figure out, some of them in Ray, like Google's very good at both giving you performance data, but also they'll put a lot of that metadata in the flow log, but Amazon and Azure, you need to go reach into their APIs and figure out what it is and join it.
Okay.
So they're all different in terms of what they support. They use different nomenclature for the same things. They have different primitives. And so as a vendor, we have to unify all that. And in different ways, companies like Aviatrix or Alkira are trying to solve that problem from a networking substrate. From an observability perspective, we still need to form one model and unify it. And it's just been harder because there's more work to do and more variance in the Kubernetes ecosystem.
You mean they're all standardizing on a set of MIBs and we'll be able to read data out of device?
Talk to me. You'll talk to me at maybe by reInvent time. We're doing some stuff to unify streaming telemetry, which is the hipster version of SNMP with SNMP, but I shouldn't preview that release too much.
I think you kind of did a little bit, but okay.
Okay, well, that's okay. It's out there.
Okay. Good. So if folks want to check out Kinetic, Kentic Kube, what can they do? How can they kick the tires? We're a very dynamic
company and Kinetic in our own way.
Kinetic, yes.
Well, we're here.
It's nice, and it's a nice slip.
Yeah, we're here at KubeCon, so we've got a booth. We're here the whole time. You can go to kentik.com, Kentik. I'm happy to hear from you. I'm Avi at kentik.com or Avi Friedman on LinkedIn, Twitter, X, whatever.
Well, it's nice, and I would imagine you're kind of a solution. Usually you can point data to a cloud offering like that fairly easily and start to see what you can do with it.
People can sign up self-serve. If you don't want to deal with us, you can sign up, sending us telemetry, start using it. We have a built-in self-driving demo so people can see it, what it looks like in the cloud offering even before they send traffic.
It's fully populated.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of get to that
it's
point.
It's synthesized traffic. It's not our customer's actual traffic, but
It's interesting. Yeah, I actually talked with a company for developer that they actually monitored their own development environment.
Yeah, we do,
their
but
product.
We can't share that.
Yeah, there's some of that. That might be a little bit of a security
because that would customer
concern.
IP addresses and stuff that are.
That's true. Yeah, a little bit of data leakage. Different problem we want to solve.
Yeah, since the core of what we do has always been traffic data, and then we've branched out from there, our customers are very sensitive that it's not our data, it's their data. So
very good point. I understand that. Well, good. Well, congratulations on the launch. And you were describing what you learned and what you had to go back and kind of add to give that fuller picture. That's not a small effort in the middle of we would like to go GA.
Oh, absolutely.
Just a little bit of tuning and bug fixing.
We have 4 other products too, so but
yes. Oh, by the way, we're keeping.
But we have a great team, and when customers are driving it, it's very easy. If you have multiple customers saying, okay, but I need this, and then it will be bigger, or I need this, to buy it, then it's much better than when you're building on a thesis, and we're at the scale where we have that.
Customer always wins. I mean, those arguments are usually better solved.
We don't do everything they want, but we try to be driven by what they want.
Well, Avi, thanks for talking with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. About your progress, and we look forward to more great things from you.
Thank you, and as I said,
and the streaming kind of announcement we sort of talked about.
The streaming telemetry, the metric side, we'll talk about more, in a few months.
Okay. So is we going to talk about it at reInvent, or anything?
We might reInvent, or maybe slightly after. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be there. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Avi, congrats.
Thank you very much.
Good to chat. All right. Be sure and check out Kentic and Kentic Kube and all the other products, services that are available. And it's always fun talking with people who are creating kind of great new things, and the amount of effort and care and passion it takes to do that. It's always a lot easier when their customers right there asking you for it. So it's good to hear that's happened with Kentic. We will be right back with our next interview, so stay tuned from here at KubeCon 2023 in Chicago.
Discover the cutting-edge insights of our new show, AI Times, a series that explores the limitless potential of artificial intelligence. Sponsored by the AI Infrastructure Alliance. the AI Times is at the forefront of the AI revolution, tackling the crucial questions of how we can leverage AI for the betterment of humanity. Stay ahead of the curve as this show delves into all things surrounding AI, including trends, pressing concerns, and the positive impact AI is making around the globe. AI Times.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world
This is
CISOs are
Techstrong
dealing with
TV.
today's real-world issues. From enabling...
Hey, welcome back. We are here at KubeCon in Chicago 2023, and it's been a busy day. We had a great day, a lot of great people.
This is Techstrong TV.
Hey, welcome back. We are here at KubeCon in Chicago 2023, and it's been a busy day. We had a great day, a lot of great people that we've talked to. We're on our last conversation, and we'll be here tomorrow, so don't go away. We'll be back. But I have the pleasure of being joined by Daniel Baldivia.
Yeah.
Daniel is engineer with MinIO.
That is correct.
They're going to be talking with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And you're, not to give you more titles, but you're kind of one of the founder originators of the technology, right? Inventor?
Well, I'm responsible for Kubernetes products, and that could be understood as I'm the one of the guys who wrote the operator for MinIO, right?
Okay.
So I'm responsible for Kubernetes stuff, right? So you could argue anything that has to do with Kubernetes, I wrote it.
Okay. I know you're not trying to claim all the credit, but hey, give credit where credit is due, right?
Yeah.
So if there are folks that don't know about MinIO, talk about what MinIO does.
So MinIO, it's a cloud-native object storage. So for those who don't know what an object storage is, it's just the simplest form of storage that's meant to be consumed over the internet, right? So MinIO is built for scale and speed, right? So when you see enterprises and companies that need to store large amounts of data, they look to object storage, and particularly to MinIO, because it's so simple to run, so simple to operate, and that's what we are going after, right? We want companies and teams to be comfortable running storage, so they want to look for a solution like MinIO that says, it's so easy, mind-blowing, simple. I just put my files there, and then I just consume them, and that's it. That's what object storage is, right? A solution for storing a large amount of data.
It's almost like NoSQL for programming, object storage for storage. I mean, it's just we used to think of it as blob, now it's objects, right?
That is
correct. It can contain anything,
yes.
Right? All kinds of, and very large.
And very large,
It's not limited by, so many character size or data size.
Yeah, and then, one way to reason about it, why are we not calling it file? Because, file was meant to be, when file started, it was locally on your drive, right? And object is meant to be stored, in a distributed environment over the internet, right? So that's my main difference.
Yeah, you can't talk about applications, the cloud, virtually anything without the data to go. That's what runs everything, right?
Runs everything, yes.
Fuel of our applications.
The way I like to see it is, everyone's building all these great products, and I see them as cars. We build roads because everyone needs storage, right? Even if it's a NoSQL database, they'll need to back up that data somewhere, and object storage is the place to put those backups.
Very good. So what? In the Kubernetes world, we're obviously here. There's a lot of interest in data and databases, even databases sometimes in Kubernetes. Talk about how you fit into the cloud native ecosystem of applications, cloud native, database technology, distributed processing and data.
So from day one, we built MinIO intended to be running a distributed environment. But then, not so much as to only make it running in containers, but the MinIO binary, it's so small, 100 megabyte binary. You can run it on bare metal, on virtual machines, or containers. And the idea was that, okay, we don't want to force you to say, oh, if you want to run this storage, you have to buy this appliance from us, right? When it comes to the cloud, you don't know what you're going to be running on, right? If it's on a cloud provider, it's on their infrastructure. If it's your own Kubernetes on-premise, it's on the hardware that you decided to buy, and you buy the servers that you want. So we want a storage solution that's truly cloud native. That means it will run on anything that you have available, right? So let's say you went with the vendor of hardware that gave you the base deal, right? You want to be able to set up your own storage that way, right? So you go and set up Kubernetes, set up MinIO operator, and start your own object storage company if you want, right? We want to make it that simple, and that's what it means to be cloud native, right? Be agnostic of the infrastructure, not tying you down to an appliance or any particular hardware.
Yeah, very different than the I buy this NAS and so I manage the data a very certain way or whatever product. It seems also that kind of what we containerize can be any variety of things, right? Data, applications, infrastructure, full apps, microservices. And some of that information can be pulled out of database, out of object storage as well. So you mentioned like the analogy of the file server. It seems like object storage sort of abstracts the underlying environment that this is running. Whether it's a file server or a NAS or a whatever in the world it is behind it, or cloud service.
Yes,
it's still an object storage.
It's still an object storage. Yeah, exactly. And the applications are being built with that in mind. Right. At some point, like if you're running, let's say, some big data pipeline on top of Spark, right? The Spark really doesn't care if it's pulling data from HDFS or some object storage. In this case, it could be MinIO, it could be a cloud provider object store. And so these pipelines are all they care is they are agnostic. They just want to load the data and then go do its own job, right? So that's where MinIO comes into place and letting you set up the infrastructure yourself, right?
Now you work with other database technologies, not as a replacement.
No, yes.
Too necessarily, right?
What we're seeing is data is scaling at an unprecedented pace, right? So database vendors, they know relational database, they start having problems when they go beyond certain terabyte capacity, right? But a lot of database vendors, what we're seeing is they're actually embracing object store. What they're doing is they're offloading their tables into object storage, and when you need to run certain type of queries or analytic workloads that's meant to run on, petabytes and petabytes of data, the database will actually go and retrieve its own write-ahead logs straight from object storage, right? And then do its own query and then give you the result. And then we see that trend coming. Databases are actually evolving to work with these large, massive amounts of data, at scale of the data. And that wouldn't be possible if you didn't have a place to put the data at that scale.
Interesting. It's almost like the tiered approach to hardware data storage. It's from a software standpoint, database, right? In memory, on disk, whatever disk is, and then object.
Exactly.
Pull in large amounts of data.
That's definitely the right analogy, right? So just as people were doing on top of hardware, now they're doing it, but in data side, right? So you see also, for example, now that all the AI world is taking off, right? You see these companies that are, okay, we have all these data sets, but the data sets are massive. They keep growing month on month, but we only need 3 months to train the latest and greatest machine learning model. And when the data is aging, we need to tier it off to some other type of storage. So object storage can be both the hot tier and the warm tier, in the sense that you can set up MinIO tenant with the latest and greatest NVMe drives that satisfy your training needs, right? When you're training a machine learning algorithm, it needs to go through every single part of the data set, right? But as the data is aging, you want to be able to tier that into another object storage. It can also be MinIO. And that's built with for cheap and deep storage, right? Using on top of hard disk drives, and all of this needs to be transparent to the applications, because the application doesn't want to know that I need to go to 2 separate places. I just want to read, right? I just want to read my files, and they come. And this is what actually coming as a trend as the modern data lakes.
Makes a lot of sense. Why is object storage so? I mean, we're all very used to kind of structured data, right? In many forms. And AI systems can use with structured and unstructured data. Why is less structured or unstructured data important?
So the interesting thing is about roughly like 80% of the data that we see being placed on object storage is unstructured data. It's machine generated. Companies like, they have all this telemetry, all these logs, all this data about their business, and they don't know what to do with it yet. So they start storing it. That's why most of this data is unstructured, right? All the structured data still relies on, relational databases and that transactional operations that still belongs to the databases. But all this unstructured data that sometimes companies are like, I wish I had the data so I could come and predict this behavior so I could improve my e-commerce business, right? But if they kept the data in object storage, then they can be like, now I can write a pipeline and go and deduce this new metric that I want to deduce, right? So that's why all these data companies are just dumping it into object storage, and either they have a valid use case for it now, or they don't know if they want to develop a new business case for it later.
I think it'd be easy and inaccurate to conclude, just because it's object or large amount of data in object storage doesn't mean it's slow. It's actually, you can get high performance out of that data as well. How do you do that? How do you deliver the kind of performance that applications demand today?
So I was mentioning that by nature we built Minayo to be highly distributed, right? So that already tells you that we are actually aggregating the throughput of all these machines, of all these drives, right? And on top of that, we went to great lengths to optimize the parts that matter. For example, how Minayo protects the data. It uses it through erasure coding. This means you'll give me some file, and I'll take the data, chunk it into data, and then generate some parity and store it separately. To do that, that's computationally expensive, but we actually went to great lengths to write everything in assembly for these heavy lifting operations, encryption, TLS, and erasure coding, so that it actually, the hardware is not in the way when we're actually trying to store data or retrieve data at very high speeds. Right, so we actually, the advantage of doing that is we can grab all these nice instructions. For example, on x86 architecture, we have AVX 512 instructions. Mm-hmm. On ARM, we have Neon instructions, and all these instructions, they compute very fast. So we wanted to be able to leverage those so that when you actually want to retrieve a file, we can pull the file as fast as the drive is letting us pull it.
Yeah, almost just pulling data off a disk, essentially, right?
Yes.
What data do you want to pull off? What do you see happening in your space? I mean, kind of what over the next, I don't want to do a 5-year prediction, but what do you think over the next 6 months or more? What's happening in your part of the market, and what kind of things should we be on the lookout for?
So we're seeing two main trends. First, our companies are building now, they're trying to consolidate their data lakes into why do I need to have different stores or different storage technologies for different problems when I can just have one object store that works great, single namespace, everything I need is there, all the security, all the tiering, all the encryption, and then just use that. So first we see companies consolidating their data lakes for analytics, for AI, for databases as well, for all sort of systems, right? We even see streaming services building on top of object storage now because they discovered that, it's actually cheaper to run myself. And the second one, we see the repatriation of data from the cloud back on premise, right? And Kubernetes is driving that because people are noticing now I can just throw a bunch of servers, put Kubernetes on top of it, and then orchestrate everything very simply. And object storage being native to Kubernetes as well makes it trivial for people to say, okay, now I can run the show. Now I can bring my data, because on cloud providers, when you go beyond certain scale, in the petabyte scale, the cost becomes prohibitively high, right? You could be buying a lot of servers every month with the bill. Yeah. So when companies find this, okay, they want to build their own data lake, and this is part of the first point, and then they start repatriating some of the data and keeping it in-house because they discovered how easy it is actually to run your own storage infrastructure.
You mentioned distribution. Distributed data is one of the ways to get high performance. That's also part of it. There's a lot of emphasis on resiliency, taking more than just uptime and 5 nines and mean time to recovery, but really trying to build into architecture or the infrastructure layer, cloud service, or the application, or kind of all the layers, of finding ways to make it so that our applications or infrastructure don't fall down when some fault occurs, or cyber attack, or a bug in code. How do object storage, how has Minayo help with providing a more resilient infrastructure or application, or both?
So we help you protect the data in many ways. For example, starting with data resiliency, the fact that we are cloud native and hardware agnostic. What if one of your servers goes up in flames? You want to replace it as soon as possible. And the fact that we're not telling you buy our box, it's like you can just buy whatever box fits the need that you need, place it back and plug it back into the cluster, and we'll start healing the data on top of that machine. So that's one, right? Being hardware agnostic really, really helps in case you have these kind of scenarios where you need to replace hardware or just expand, right? So you don't have to wait for us to procure us. You go with whoever can give you the servers that you need at the moment that you need them, and then just expand your infrastructure like that, right? So that's one way we help you protect against individual hardware failure. When it comes to, for example, ransomware attacks, object storage, because we have complete control over the data, you can actually set it up, and we have, for example, object locking to prevent data deletion. In case there's a ransomware attack, right, the attacker can try to go and encrypt everything, but if an object has locking or versioning, right, you can always go and restore the older version, or the file was not able to be deleted or changed at all, right? All data in object storage is immutable. So if a ransomware attacker wanted to really damage you, they would have to download the file, encrypt it, and upload it. That would be time consuming, but they will just try to delete it. But if you have versioning enabled, you can just restore the older version, right? And what we see also is when you see all these companies building their own data lakes, backing up 100 petabyte lake is very not impossible, but it's very hard, right? So we see companies building multiple sites now. So sometimes they like building 2 data lakes, have them replicate active-active, East Coast, West Coast kind of deployment. I'm building a 3rd site just for data recovery, right? Disaster recovery in case there's like such types of attack. And they set up the replication, and Minayo makes it trivial to set the active-active plus a DR site kind of setup, so that you don't have to worry about, okay, now I need to back up my 100 petabytes. There's no backup. There's another site with an exact same replica of your data.
How about the developer or the platform engineer experience? If you aren't greenfield, you're already running an application, an environment, a database, maybe object storage. How do you add to that environment without being disruptive?
So that's a great question, because most of the Minayo adoption has been driven by the developers and the infrastructure people themselves, right? In traditional IT, there's always a team owning storage, and they're very zealous of it. And that's because, of course, they bought these expensive appliances, so they want to restrict how it goes. But when it comes to a developer, he usually starts on his laptop and runs Minayo and says, this works. I developed my application, tested against the API locally, and now I want to deploy it. So deploying Minayo could just be a simple pod and a single PVC. So they can go to infrastructure and be like, deploy me this application. And for the infrastructure people, this is just one more application, right? Because it doesn't need specialized hardware or anything. And that's how it starts, through their shadow IT, right? And then slowly companies are realizing, oh, we are relying too much on that service. What is that? Oh, that's Minayo, that's object storage, right? And then they start formalizing into their companies. So for infrastructure people and developers, the fact that they can run a copy of the software themselves locally or inside their CI/CD pipeline to actually harden the software and be like, okay, it's supposed to be testing it, that it's working as expected all the time. It's how we actually have gotten one foot into the door most of the time.
Yeah. Very cool. Lots of good stuff happening. It's great to see. I remember when object databases were kind of a new thing, and now object storage. So if somebody wants to kick the tires and try it out, min.io?
Min.io, that is correct.
Yes, like a free account or tier that you can test things on, or sandbox?
Yeah, actually we are open source, so you can go to our website and download the binary itself and run it on your laptop. We run on all kinds of architecture. And that same binary is the one that you will use on production. And if you were to acquire an enterprise license, that will be the same binary that you run. Why would we do that? So we are an upstream first company, and the open source community actually contributes a lot of fixes. If we were to break something, within 30 minutes, someone on GitHub will be complaining, you guys broke this obscure application that needs this obscure corner case.
Now it affects everything. I mean, it could have a huge impact.
And we immediately patch it, make a new release. We make releases multiple times a week if needed. And then that benefits everyone, both enterprise customers and the community. So that's the best way to start, right? So go to our website, get the binary, and start using it.
Developers love free open source, no sales pressure, right? Let me try it out, let me figure it out if I like it.
Try it, exactly.
Good, well Daniel, it's been a lot of fun talking with you.
Thank you.
Catching up, I think it was Valencia when last time I talked with someone from your company.
Yes.
A lot of good things have happened, so we have a good rest of the show, and people, if you want to check out min.io, min.io,
yeah.
Super easy to get to. Sounds like super easy to download. Pick binary and poof, you're running it. So thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been great having everybody here, all of our guests, people like Daniel and from other great companies as well as min.io. I hope you'll be here tomorrow. I think we're starting at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Looking over at our production crew, giving me the big thumbs up. That's on Central Time, so join us here on Techstrong TV and across all the Techstrong sites, devops.com, Container Journal Now, Security Boulevard, and Techstrong.tv. So it's been our pleasure bringing this content to you today, these experts and thought leaders and information. We hope it's been helpful. Reach out to us, let us know, and we have 2 more days of great stuff lined up. So we'll see you back here, same bat channel, same bat station. We'll see you tomorrow.
Discover the cutting-edge insights of our new show, AI Times, a series that explores the limitless potential of artificial intelligence. Sponsored by the AI Infrastructure Alliance, the AI Times is at the forefront of the AI revolution, tackling the crucial questions of how we can leverage AI for the betterment of humanity. Stay ahead of the curve as this show delves into all things surrounding AI, including trends, pressing concerns, and the positive impact AI is making around the globe. AI Times.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond, CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and MediaOps CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts. This is where CISOs talk. Join us on digitalanarchist.com and techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing-related content. ContainerJournal.com covers all aspects of software containers, from container management, data management for containers, container security, networking for containers, to the entire container ecosystem, Kubernetes, microservices, serverless, and more. ContainerJournal.com has the largest selection of container-related news, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.containerjournal.com to learn more. DevOps.com is the #1 online destination for DevOps education and community building. DevOps.com covers all aspects of DevOps, including DevOps best practices and tools, DevOps culture, DevSecOps, business impact, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and more. DevOps.com has the largest collection of original DevOps content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.devops.com to learn more. DevOps.com, where the world meets DevOps. SecurityBoulevard.com is the leading resource for news, analysis, and education on challenges facing the cybersecurity industry. SecurityBoulevard.com covers all aspects of cybersecurity, including data security, DevSecOps, cloud security, application security, network security, security threats, and more. SecurityBoulevard.com has the largest selection of security content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.securityboulevard.com to learn more. SecurityBoulevard.com, home of Security Bloggers Network.
Hey everyone, it's Alan Schimmel. I'm back here live. We're back here live at KubeCon. This is by far the busiest show floor I've seen in any KubeCon. I know there's 13,000 people, and I think they're all right here. Luckily, the magic of technology, you're hearing us and seeing us, I hope. And because if you would hear the din of the background noise here is ridiculous. I'm really happy we're going to be doing a little bit something special here right now. We're going to be doing a DevOps Unbound live kind of panel live at KubeCon. We've got our very special VIP guest, Martin Kloss, who evidently when he travels at events brings his own security. And
Mihaim and Hashib.
We're
there. Hey guys, thanks for keeping us safe. We appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We appreciate it. You're good guys.
I don't know. I guess Martin's a high visibility kind of target or something here, huh?
I don't know what you're into, Martin, but I'm glad you've got
This is like
security
something
there.
out of the blacklist or something, you know?
Funny.
But anyway, so this is Martin Klaus from Tricentis. If you've watched any DevOps Unbound episodes, you might have seen Martin on a few of them. But you know, it's funny, it's Zoom, you only see people from here up. He's actually a pretty tall guy. Speaking of tall guys, to my right here is our CTO at Techstrong and Principal Research Analyst, Mitch Ashley. Mitch, thanks for being here.
Always.
And we're here. So, DevOps Unbound. Look, we always discuss everything under the sun on DevOps Unbound. But Martin, I wanted to focus today's talk a little bit on what's different about testing and continuous testing in a cloud-native environment versus any other environment.
So first of all, Alan, Mitch, thanks for having me. It's great to finally meet you in person.
Yeah, it's first. It is, yeah.
And it's unbelievable, the energy, the vibe, the community of KubeCon. As you mentioned, 13, I think it's actually more than 15,000 people over here.
Yeah.
This place is crazy. It's unbelievable. If you have not been to KubeCon, you definitely need to come here in person and see for yourself. But coming back to your question, what's different? So I've been in cloud native for a long time. I've worked at Red Hat, I've worked in OpenShift and containers and Kubernetes. But Kubernetes is still in at 0.9. And so I would say if you look back over the last couple of years, a lot of things have changed because one of their main objectives of DevOps was to bridge the gap between Dev and Ops and to move applications into production much faster, to deliver more value to business much more quickly than in a traditional waterfall or even an agile model. And so what happens is when you're trying to move faster and you change your process to work more efficiently, to work in small increments, then the application architecture evolves as well, right? We have moved from monolithic, big web applications to microservices that you can update and scale out much more efficiently. Data has evolved from data at rest to data in motion, and streaming of events has become one way for data and applications to communicate with one another. And so if you think through that, then you also have to think about how does that impact testing and test automation. And the whole notion of quality engineering becomes a lot more important because you have to think about quality from an architecture standpoint. You have to think about quality from an end user standpoint and the experiences to deliver, but you also have to think about how can you ensure quality through the development process as it relates to functional requirements, as it relates to business requirements, as it relates to performance requirements. And a lot of companies are also dealing with security and compliance and governance. So all these things have to be considered, and it cannot be solved by tools alone. You have to think about the process as well. And most important, I would say, is adopting a quality first mindset, and not just move things in production and see if it sticks, but be more thoughtful about how you're building applications, how you deliver it, and ultimately what is the value delivering to our end users.
Yeah, I'm curious, listening to your thoughts on that. Thinking about the people that we've interviewed, and just a few of them today already. It's OpenShift Red Hat folks, it's ARM processor and getting more applications on that platform. It's cloud native application company, it's object storage. The number of variables, there's always been a large number of variables to test for environments. It seems like that's even bigger. Maybe exponentially more complex in this cloud native environment because there's so many different platforms. AI, add all that to it.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you just walk around the show floor here, you'll be blown away by how many different use cases and features and capabilities that are enabled on the Kubernetes platform. I think one other aspect that's really important to think about is, testing is everybody's responsibility, or quality is everybody's responsibility, not just the traditional QA folks. It's developers, it's project managers, it's release engineers, it's SREs, and everybody else that's involved in it. But one key difference oftentimes is, and this is something that I hear a lot from my quality engineering counterparts at not just testing companies, but in enterprise, that it's not just about the happy path. that you envision as a developer that your users go through. Quality engineering is a lot about finding out what are the edge cases where things might break, what are the environments where you run into a gotcha type situation, and how do we prevent that from happening? Because ultimately, end users all have different environments, different browsers. They log in through their mobile devices, through different network configurations. They may have multiple applications running, and inevitably somebody's going to use the application in a way it was not intended or designed to deal with. And so that's ultimately causing quality issues. And so that's really, I think, what quality engineering to be about, is to figure out how can we maximize the footprint of all the things that we're exposing the application to identify those weak points that we need to prevent from happening in the first place.
Martin, one of the trends that I see at Cloud Native Con, KubeCon already, is the move to platforms, right? And I think it's a maturation phase of, we're doing this, Mitch is heading up this report we're doing called DevOps Next, where we're looking at what's next in the gamut of DevOps, right to left, left to right, the whole thing. And one of the trends is instead of cobbling together, we've got some...
I feel like I'm on the airplane,
I feel like I'm at the airport, yeah. I'm ready, I got to go board, see you later.
You're missing your flight.
Yeah, but I think I left my wallet at the TSA booth. But one of the trends is getting away from point solutions that are cobbled together to platforms. And almost like the Russian nested dolls, platforms of platforms. So you can have a continuous testing platform, like a Tricentis, and that has a complete suite of tests optimized for a cloud native environment, for what you're doing. And that has to fit into a larger cloud native platform, that takes up my whole CI/CD, my whole software supply chain type of environment. What's Tricentis doing, both to expand that testing platform, but also to fit into that larger cloud native?
I think the notion of platformization is one of the hottest trends in the industry right now. You hear about platform engineering, you hear about developer platforms, you hear about quality platforms, and the main driver for the adoption or the growth of these platforms in the industry is really like, what can we do to help developers or testers and project teams stay in the flow? Because there's so many things you have to think about, there's so many distractions, there's so many sort of other tasks you have to do during the day, and to stay focused on a particular pull request or a particular project or a particular sort of feature requirement is very hard if you think about all the meetings and disruptions that you're going to deal with every single day. And platforms can help with that, to help you simplify and automate a lot of things so that there's less cobbling together that you have to do on your own. And one thing that is really important, I think also from a Tricentis standpoint, is reusability. And how can we enable more use cases with quality platforms? And one thing that we see a lot with our customers is that there are not just applications you build in-house in the enterprise, there are applications or SaaS applications that you configure and deploy or enhance, or an application you just use. So you'll see the whole gamut of applications that you deploy and configure, that you use across the enterprise, but then also applications that you're extending and building yourself, and how can you deliver an end-to-end quality automation platform that supports all the different use cases between enterprise IT, back office applications like Oracle and SAP, business applications like Salesforce and ServiceNow and many others, as well as the custom applications that you use internally, but that can also be client-facing, right? And what we found is that a lot of customers are looking for ways to standardize process through a quality engineering framework. They're also looking to standardize on tools and platforms so that enable quality engineers across many different teams to work together with their development counterparts to release applications faster. And so that's kind of like what we're trying to do, to really focus on usability and the end user experience, but also make it easy for people to get started with functional automation, but then expand into data testing, for example, or load testing, mobile testing, and other things that they may need to do for the particular application that they're trying to release.
It really makes the case platforms aren't just for infrastructure. Yes, that's part of it, but it's platforms up the stack. And
well, it's horizontally and vertically
exactly.
is the key to it. And like I said, it's like that Russian nested dolls thing. There's platforms within platforms. But again,
for Dune, you got to make it a Dune plans within plans.
Spirals within spirals.
Yeah, think about it as layers, right? Like the networking layers of L1 through L7 might be one analogy to think about what you're doing on the infrastructure layer, what you're doing at the application layer, at the testing layer, and so forth.
Well, at the end of the day, the spice must flow.
Sleeper must awaken, too. But so can I ask the AI question? We haven't talked about AI.
No, it's enough time. Go ahead.
We have an upcoming live session on testing AI in your applications. I'm curious your thoughts. And I wish I had the date on it. We'll get that out to everybody. What are your thoughts about when you incorporate AI into your apps? There's models, there's data, there's training. They kind of have their own flows, even more so than just a database or data source. How do you think about testing in a cloud native world that has AI part of it?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I mean, answer that in 5 seconds.
The whole industry is sort of thinking about that right now because on the one hand, today, for example, we saw many great use cases for AI models and put them into production and using LLMs to summarize a live picture of what's being seen. And so also we're seeing the use of AI from a code generation standpoint, right? And there was a recent article from Jyoti Bansal who mentioned that we've shifted the problem from development to QA, and what used to be 3 developers, 1 QA, it's now 1 developer and 3 QAs because developers can now generate so much more code using AI tools, and now that puts the burden on the testers to verify the increase in potential security flaws and things of that nature that are being introduced if the code is not being tested and validated but generated from some random source. So that's one aspect. But I think the bigger question in the industry right now is how do we test the validity of the results of an AI model, and if the summaries and all the things that an LLM can generate are meaningful and they're free of hallucinations and things of that nature. I think that's a great use case for exploratory testing. I think there's also an opportunity to actually use other LLMs to test the output, from LLMs and see if there's a consensus among LLMs on the results. But at the end of the day, you still need a human in the loop. We're not at this point yet where the human is completely eliminated from the dev test cycle. And as the technology matures, I'm sure there's going to be more opportunity for automation to test AI. But for now, I would say we're still very much in sort of the good old, exploratory testing, being able to trace back to the data, how the LLMs came up with certain results. But that is still sort of like the big problem for an industry to crack.
Makes sense.
No doubt. I mean, we could stay here and talk cloud native and AI and QA and testing.
Actually, AI was the star of the keynotes today, too.
Yeah, that's what we heard.
Anyway, hey, Martin, I want to thank you for stopping by. I can't believe you came all the way to Paris just to do a cloud native.
For this one session. This is great.
A DevOps Unbound thing with us.
That's commitment.
Was nice of
That's
you.
commitment.
Yep. But seriously, thanks to you and Tricentis as always. We're going to be back to our regular schedule of DevOps Unbound, I guess when we get back in another week or two. But until then, we'll be here live all week covering what's going on at KubeCon. Many thanks to Martin Klaus and Tricentis, Mitchell Ashley, and Alan Schimmel. You're watching Techstrong TV.
Discover the cutting-edge insights of our new show, AI Times, a series that explores the limitless potential of artificial intelligence. Sponsored by the AI Infrastructure Alliance, the AI Times is at the forefront of the AI revolution, tackling the crucial questions of how we can leverage AI for the betterment of humanity. Stay ahead of the curve as this show delves into all things surrounding AI, including trends, pressing concerns, and the positive impact AI is making around the globe. AI Times.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond, CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and MediaOps CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts, this is where CISOs talk. Join us on digitalanarchist.com and techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing-related content. ContainerJournal.com covers all aspects of software containers, from container management, data management for containers, container security, networking for containers, to the entire container ecosystem, Kubernetes, microservices, serverless, and more. ContainerJournal.com has the largest selection of container-related news, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.containerjournal.com to learn more. DevOps.com is the #1 online destination for DevOps education and community building. DevOps.com covers all aspects of DevOps, including DevOps best practices and tools, DevOps culture, DevSecOps, business impact, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and more. DevOps.com has the largest collection of original DevOps content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.devops.com to learn more. DevOps.com, where the world meets DevOps. SecurityBoulevard.com is the leading resource for news, analysis, and education on challenges facing the cybersecurity industry. SecurityBoulevard.com covers all aspects of cybersecurity, including data security, DevSecOps, cloud security, application security, network security, security threats, and more. SecurityBoulevard.com has the largest selection of security content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.securityboulevard.com to learn more. SecurityBoulevard.com, home of Security Bloggers Network.
Cloud Native Now is the web's leading resource for the growing cloud native ecosystem. CloudNativeNow.com is your destination for news, thought leadership, features, and webinars on cloud native architecture, Kubernetes, serverless, cloud native application development, microservices, service mesh, cloud native security, and more. Stay on the cutting edge of modern application development at Cloud Native Now.
I'm Bonnie Schneider, Sustainability Contributor to the Techstrong Group. I'm excited to introduce you to a groundbreaking new initiative from Techstrong Research, the Sustainability Pulse Meter. The Pulse Meter offers valuable insights into how environmental responsibility factors into tech purchasing decisions for key players in the industry. Position your company as a leader in the industry and differentiate from your competitors with the Sustainability Pulse Meter, offered exclusively from Techstrong Research.
Discover the cutting-edge insights of our new show, AI Times, a series that explores the limitless potential of artificial intelligence. Sponsored by the AI Infrastructure Alliance, the AI Times is at the forefront of the AI revolution, tackling the crucial questions of how we can leverage AI for the betterment of humanity. Stay ahead of the curve as this show delves into all things surrounding AI, including trends, pressing concerns, and the positive impact AI is making around the globe. AI Times.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond. CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and Media Ops CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts. This is where CISOs talk. Join us on digitalanarchist.com and techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing-related content. ContainerJournal.com covers all aspects of software containers, from container management, data management for containers, container security, networking for containers, to the entire container ecosystem, Kubernetes, microservices, serverless, and more. ContainerJournal.com has the largest selection of container-related news, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.containerjournal.com to learn more. DevOps.com is the #1 online destination for DevOps education and community building. DevOps.com covers all aspects of DevOps, including DevOps best practices and tools, DevOps culture, DevSecOps, business impact, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and more. DevOps.com has the largest collection of original DevOps content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.devops.com.
Hey everyone, I hope you've been enjoying our coverage here live at KubeCon. We are Techstrong, but it's a little crazy. I mean, Scott, have you been to other KubeCons? Yeah,
I have, and this one is off the charts. You're right.
Absolutely. I was with Anil Gupta, who's the chairman of CNCF.
Sure.
And he told me last night, this is the biggest KubeCon, bigger than San Diego.
Yeah.
If you remember San Diego before,
before COVID,
was the biggest one. This has now eclipsed that. So pretty cool stuff. You heard me say Scott. Let me introduce you to Scott Johnston. Scott is the CEO of Docker and has been now for, how long has it been? Eight years?
Just over 4 years.
4 years?
Been at Docker 10 years. So.
I think I remember when you joined Docker, believe it or not.
February 2014. Docker is 11 years old tomorrow.
Really?
So Solomon walked on the stage at PyCon 2013, 11 years ago tomorrow, and brought Docker to the world. So here we go.
Very cool.
Very cool. I mean, this didn't exist. This didn't exist 10 years ago, right?
No, it did. No, this certainly didn't. So DevOps.com, I started in March of 2014.
Okay. So it was all
just
ascendant
10
at the
years.
time.
Yeah, well, crazy.
Hard to believe.
But there's been a lot of changes since then, right?
Yes.
You know, back then, Docker was all about the container. Of course, a lot of water under that container, as they say.
A lot of water under the container. That's good.
Yep.
That's good.
And Docker has grown, morphed, stretched, pulled, changed, come out the other side with a very different business lineup.
That's right.
Than containers.
That's right.
Let's start there, if you don't mind, Scott. Share with the audience.
So our journey up to 2019 was really focused on the production use case. Helping operators run containers at scale in the data center, in the cloud, across multiple nodes. And so, of course, that involved orchestration. And back in the day, we had an orchestrator. Kubernetes then came on the scene. We eventually embraced Kubernetes, so on and so forth. In 2019, we realized that there was another opportunity for the company, and that was the developer market.
Yes.
And so we did a massive pivot in 2019, basically shed the operator business, shed the orchestration business, to focus just on the needs of developer. And specifically, how can we help developers rapidly, as a team, develop more secure, higher quality software. And that's the journey we've been on the last 4 years.
And you know what? It as you said, it was a pretty radical pivot.
Big shift.
But in hindsight, genius, right?
I'd rather be lucky than smart, as they say.
It's
right?
good to be both.
It's rather be lucky than smart.
That's the story of my life.
But developer experience is now
a key piece of it.
Thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're going to get into some of this now, though. But I wanted to. Now, you guys made some announcements recently.
We did.
Well, let's go there if you don't mind.
Sure. So in this focus on the developer experience, it's specifically on what we call the inner loop. And that is what the developer is doing locally when they edit the code, build the code, test the code, verify the code, debug the code, and they go around and around that loop before they do the git commit. So it's all, which is then the outer loop.
Okay.
Right? So how do you help them go fast in that inner loop? And one of the realizations we came to is seeing the data coming back is that there's some points of that inner loop that are not efficient, that are not optimized, where the developer is waiting. So for example, the developer can wait in aggregate sometimes up to an hour a day for their builds to complete locally. They type Docker build and they go get a cup of coffee or they go to lunch. And we came to the realization of well, wait a minute, we can bring the power of cloud to that local build experience so they have the same developer experience but offload the build to the public cloud. We're seeing 39 times speed ups, which to put that in context, that an hour becomes a minute and a half. That's free time.
Absolutely.
That's time back in the developer's day.
To do other things. Right? I've seen them, you've probably seen them too. A lot of these surveys that say developers only spend about 30% of their time developing.
Actually writing code.
Writing code.
Right.
Because a lot of it is waiting for
stuff.
Waiting for stuff to render, right?
Right, that's right.
And
so give them more time back in their day to stay in the flow state, be creative, write code.
Because what do developers like to do? Write code.
They like to write code. They're creative. They want to build, right?
I agree with you, man. That's where it's at. So working on that inner loop, what else do we got going on?
So similar to the inner loop, similar to build, another big activity in the inner loop is test.
Right.
Okay, so now I built my container, now I want to test it locally. But if that container or if that application has 20 different services, that can weigh down the laptop. Or if they're developing on an M1 ARM, but their production is x86, now they have an architecture difference.
Yep.
Right? So we bought a company in December called Test Containers, which allows you to have the same test experience locally as you have in the cloud. On these same principles of burst out to the cloud to do what the cloud does best. And so we announced this week a partnership with Red Hat.
Beautiful.
Where developer can develop locally, but if they want to burst out to their Red Hat OpenShift cluster to run the test there, seamless. One command, deploy, done.
So lucky and smart.
I'll take lucky. I'll take lucky.
Why didn't someone think of this earlier?
I mean, OpenShift and our big customers and big banks, it is what platform engineers use to deploy to. Yeah. They want to bring they want to avoid works on my machine, so they want to make the test environment as close as possible to the production environment. And we're fantastic. Let's burst from the local test environment to the OpenShift environment.
I mean,
call it good.
So I'm not as technical as you probably, right? But look, one of the first big uses, not at Techstrong, when I was at my last company, when the cloud first came on the scene was, what a difference, game changer for testing.
Yes.
Testing was a expensive, time-consuming pain in the butt.
100%.
Now, all of a sudden, I had but near infinite scale for my unit test and all my load testing and all of that. So testers already knew that the cloud was your path to buying 100,000 different flavors of laptop and everything.
Right.
Why did it take so long, you think, to do this with containers?
I think at the time, back in the day, right, you had a dedicated test team.
Right.
Remember this? And it was very much waterfall. So write the code, someone else built it, someone else tested it, and waterfall down the way. And in those days, okay, you deploy once a month. You deploy
or once a quarter or
once
twice a year.
Yeah, exactly. But now we're in this world where value shipped is the premium. So how quickly can you ship value to production?
Yep.
And so that combined with automation, combined with, again, humbly, the ease with which the containers become that unit of work, is pulling more and more that into the developer environment. So how do you make it easy and automated for the developer to do testing as quickly as possible then, versus throw it over the wall to someone downstream? So I think that's the dynamic, Alan, is that like, hey, the faster we can solve issues, the better quality software that's going to be. Developer can take action and then move on. I mean, I like
not only that, you have a better test coverage.
Yes, exactly. I liken it to a manufacturing example, which the Japanese manufacturers brought, which is they have this notion of the andon cord on the line, right? So if a worker sees a problem, they pull that andon cord because they know fixing it on the line costs $1. You fix it in inventory, it costs $10.
Recall costs you $1,000.
Recall costs you $1 million, right?
Yeah.
And so very much what we can do from manufacturing, we can bring to software.
Absolutely.
Like help the developer solve it right then. Not in CI, not in production, not, oh my God, when the customer sees it.
Yep.
Right? And so that's what we're doing. We're helping the developers
It's a shift left of solving the problem.
That's what
you're doing.
Solve problems as soon as possible.
Both of these are available now or just announced?
Variable now.
Very cool.
So the one other thing we're doing this week, and you're going to hear a common theme here, which is again the hybrid, local, and cloud. So of course the meme of the moment, Gen AI, right? So Gen AI works fantastic on laptops that have a GPU, but those laptops have a fixed capacity of GPUs, fixed speed of GPUs. So what we're also highlighting this week is the ability to burst that LLM out to a cloud and run it on a cloud node with a big beefy GPU.
A real NVIDIA deal.
Or tens of NVIDIA GPUs in the cloud, right? So again, how do you speed up that iteration, take advantage of the cloud for what cloud is good for?
I mean, look, it's that same mindset as moving your testing off,
That's right. Or your builds
and
up.
this is a great use for the cloud, right? Because
it is.
So many people say, I want to host my app in the cloud. I need good identity, security in the cloud. But the cloud works best for, I think, little jobs like
Very
this.
specific.
Yeah.
Surgical.
Boom, boom, in, out, burstable.
That's
I need what I need and I'm done. I'll use it again next time. Versus these sprawling infrastructures that we spin up.
I mean, production has found ways where spiky workloads work well in the cloud. Like retail, Christmas season or Black Friday, okay, great. But we also realize that there's so much power there that the developer is not able to harness because it can be difficult to set up and provision and secure. So our brand is simplifying. Right. So if we could simplify all that, actually we take it completely off the developer's plate. The developer just uses the same commands behind the scenes, burst out to the cloud.
And that's, look, like I said, sometimes I sit around and say, why didn't I think of that?
Well, there you go. There
exactly.
You go.
Hey, I want to bring up another topic.
Yeah.
So, we're here at KubeCon. We're DevOps.com. We're cloud native now and all these other.
That's right.
Well, they can't see it online, but over here is our real background with all of our sites. At the heart of a lot of this is that whole CI/CD pipeline process. And it's, we're doing this big research project right now called DevOps Next.
Right.
Where we're looking at, we're moving away from cobbling together point solutions. And it's a natural evolution to more of a platform, more of a, organic, if you will, play. We're not just cobbling.
Right.
And the heart of that is at that CI/CD process. We've come a long way, but there's a long way yet to go that can be done.
That's right.
A lot of these little things, point kind of things that you're talking about, fit into a larger picture of how do we speed up CI/CD?
That's right. That's right.
So what's the Docker view there?
And look, CI/CD plays a really critical role for particularly that intersection between dev and ops of what are the final checks that this app has to go through, particularly for regulated industries, mission critical workloads, and there's a set of tests and certifications and checks that absolutely have to be done before that workload goes into production. But we hear from customers that sometimes it can take them 5, 6, 7 times looping through CI before they actually
go to
are
CD.
Able to get CI or CD.
It gets bounced.
Before it gets into production. Right. And that means latency. That means time. That means the dev is waiting for stuff to come back.
That contributes to that 30% number, right?
That's exactly right, because they're waiting for something else to finish before they can take action. And so we see that, and we see what we've been bringing to market of okay, if we can actually help the devs solve it earlier, maybe instead of 5, 6, or 7 times through CI, maybe they go once or twice through CI. And so everyone benefits. Faster delivery of value. The dev is solving problems right then and there, not 30 minutes later, not 60 minutes later when it comes back from CI. And the CI team is known for a high velocity enabler. So everyone kind of wins in bringing these best of both worlds, best of inner loop to the best of outer loop, as we call it.
Docker's not done with this stuff.
We're not done. 11 years going, we're just getting going. We're just entering our second decade. All of us here, right? Second decade.
You're 100% correct. You're dead on that. Right? And I think about, wow, just wow. Do you envision a time where instead of helping these companies with CI/CD kind of accelerators or catalysts, people go to Docker for CI/CD?
It's an interesting question, and it gets into company evolution question as well. I mean, we have found a lot of success the last 4 years, as you referenced, staying focused on the needs of developers. And I think what that could mean with automation and where a lot of the technology is going is, does it still look like traditional dev, CI/CD production 5 years from now, 6 years from now?
I don't think so.
It could radically change, and it's not only the result of automation and new technologies, but it's also now we're injecting Gen AI and data into the equation as well, which now has to be part
not
of that.
Not just Gen AI, but I'll say ML ops.
All up, you're right.
Yeah.
All up. And that's fascinating too, right? Because now you're shipping not just code, you're shipping models and the data with that model, and you're having to go through iterations that today we go through with code that you're going to be iterating with models, iterating with data.
They're going to iterate themselves almost.
I mean, you have to automate it, otherwise everything's going to slow down again, right?
Yeah.
And now you have this new persona, the data scientist, who is upstream helping tune the model, but then it's the devs that is taking that and incorporating it. So we're going to evolve. We as an industry are going to evolve.
Yes.
And Docker's going to be there.
Evolve right along with it.
Docker's going to be there to serve that development team and help them take advantage of all these great technologies and the data and the models to make great apps.
I love it. Scott, all of the things we're talking, well, what we just spoke about is not available today, but everything else we spoke about is, we can get it at docker.com.
Docker.com. That's right.
All right. Hey, man, thank you so much.
Always good to talk, Alan.
All right, Scott Johnston, CEO at Docker. Lots of stuff going on there. This ain't containers anymore. Check it out. We're live in Paris. We'll be back in a moment. I think we have Tenable up next. Stay tuned.
Discover the cutting-edge insights of our new show, AI Times, a series that explores the limitless potential of artificial intelligence. Sponsored by the AI Infrastructure Alliance. The AI Times is at the forefront of the AI revolution, tackling the crucial questions of how we can leverage AI for the betterment of humanity. Stay ahead of the curve as this show delves into all things surrounding AI, including trends, pressing concerns, and the positive impact AI is making around the globe. AI Times.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond, CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and MediaOps CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts. This is where CISOs talk. Join us on digitalanarchist.com and techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing-related content. ContainerJournal.com covers all aspects of software containers, from container management, data management for containers, container security, networking for containers, to the entire container ecosystem, Kubernetes, microservices, serverless, and more. ContainerJournal.com has the largest selection of container-related news, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.containerjournal.com to learn more. DevOps.com is the #1 online destination for DevOps education and community building. DevOps.com covers all aspects of DevOps, including DevOps best practices and tools, DevOps culture, DevSecOps, business impact, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and more. DevOps.com has the largest collection of original DevOps content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.devops.com to learn more. DevOps.com, where the world meets DevOps. SecurityBoulevard.com is the leading resource for news, analysis, and education on challenges facing the cybersecurity industry. SecurityBoulevard.com covers all aspects of cybersecurity, including data security, DevSecOps, cloud security, application security, network security, security threats, and more. SecurityBoulevard.com has the largest selection of security content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.securityboulevard.com to learn more. SecurityBoulevard.com, home of Security Bloggers Network.
Cloud Native Now is the web's leading resource for the growing cloud native ecosystem. CloudNativeNow.com is your destination for news, thought leadership, features, and webinars on cloud native architecture, Kubernetes, serverless, cloud native application development, microservices, service mesh, cloud native security, and more. Stay on the cutting edge of modern application development at Cloud Native Now.
I'm Bonnie Schneider, sustainability contributor to the Techstrong Group. I'm excited to introduce you to a groundbreaking new initiative from Techstrong Research, the Sustainability Pulse Meter. The Pulse Meter offers valuable insights into how environmental responsibility factors into tech purchasing decisions for key players in the industry. Position your company as a leader in the industry and differentiate from your competitors with the Sustainability Pulse Meter, offered exclusively from Techstrong Research.
Discover the cutting-edge insights of our new show, AI Times, a series that explores the limitless potential of artificial intelligence. Sponsored by the AI Infrastructure Alliance, the AI Times is at the forefront of the AI revolution, tackling the crucial questions of how we can leverage AI for the betterment of humanity. Stay ahead of the curve as this show delves into all things surrounding AI, including trends, pressing concerns, and the positive impact AI is making around the globe. AI Times.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond. CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and MediaOps CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts. This is where CISOs talk. Join us on digitalanarchist.com and techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing-related content. ContainerJournal.com covers all aspects of software containers, from container management, data management for containers, container security, networking for containers, to the entire container ecosystem, Kubernetes, microservices, serverless, and more. ContainerJournal.com has the largest selection of container-related news, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.containerjournal.com to learn more. DevOps.com is the #1 online destination for DevOps education and community building. DevOps.com covers all aspects of DevOps, including DevOps best practices and tools, DevOps culture, DevSecOps, business impact, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and more. DevOps.com has the largest collection of original DevOps content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.devops.com to learn more. DevOps.com, where the world meets DevOps.
Hi everyone, we're back here live at Paris for KubeCon. It's a roaring KubeCon. You don't hear it because our microphones are good, but there's like a din in the place of all these conversations and things going on. I want to introduce you to my next guest. His name is Lior. Let me make sure I get this right. Zatlavi, right?
That's pretty good. Thank you.
Lior Zatlavi. Lior is with Tenable. Is it still Tenable? It's not Tenable Network Security. It's just Tenable now, right?
The company's name is Tenable.
Right. I'm old. But Lior, when did you join Tenable? You came with an acquisition, about a year and a half ago?
Yeah, that's right. So I'm a technical evangelist for a product called Tenable Cloud Security, which used to be Hermetic. So we came to Tenable with the Hermetic acquisition back in October, just a few months ago. And now we're Tenable Cloud Security, and very, very excited to be part of this really amazing large company. Such a great opportunity to bring our mission and what we do in cloud security to so many companies and bring this advancement to the cloud security world.
Sure. So let's talk about that, right? I mean, we're here at Cloud Native, and I remember when the cloud first came out, my friend Rich Mogul, who at the time was at Gartner, said a lot of security companies were cloud washing their security offerings. What he meant was they were taking what they had before cloud and just pushing it up to the cloud. But it really wasn't cloud security. Well, it's the same thing, I think, when we talk about cloud security that was designed to work, let's say, on hypervisors and that whole infrastructure as a service type of environment. Now all of a sudden you got cloud native, Kubernetes, containers, microservices. It is cloud, but it's probably closer to like PaaS, platform as a service, than it is to infrastructure. And what worked necessarily for cloud security doesn't necessarily work for cloud native security. Thoughts on that, and why is what you're doing in Tenable Cloud Security cloud native?
Exactly. So I think you're right on at making this distinction, because the cloud is really amazing new technology. Not that new, but still fairly new.
Fairly new. It's maybe 10 years old, 12 years old.
Something like that. So it hasn't been around forever. So there's not like overabundant experience of people.
Actually, 15 years old.
Yeah, something like, but it's not like 40, 50 years in the making that, it really has penetrated into like the amount of talent that you have out there in the market, right?
Yep.
And expertise really is the name of the game, and that really changes, by the way, just what you mentioned. Because securing cloud native technologies, or even companies that are now migrating their technologies into the cloud, is not just a matter of taking your security tools that you have and you've been traditionally using them on-prem and then just shifting them, moving them to the cloud, and that's it, right? That puts you in not a great position, because to have really effective cutting edge technology to secure cloud, you need to be designing it for the cloud. And it needs to be designed from day one. And I think that was the mission of companies like Hermetic, who started as companies for security of cloud native solutions, right? Because it has to be designed to the cloud. It's a new game. It has to be, the technology has to be there, it has to be fit, because what it needs to bring to the client eventually is out of the box expertise, right? They need to be getting simplification of really complex concepts, processed very well, very professionally, very, I would say, adaptly into what cloud technology is. And for that, it has to be designed for that specific purpose. And then bring them like the insights and the direction that they need in order to secure their environments. Right, because that's the thing, it's a very dynamic new environment, very complicated, changes all the time, and you need someone, or need a product that was designed specifically for that, and this of course also applies for Kubernetes. Right, this is why it's by the way, it's great to be here in Paris, always a good,
not a bad place to be.
Not a bad place to be, and not just because of the beautiful architecture that we have around, in more than one way.
Good food.
Good architecture,
yeah, good. It's a very pleasant view.
Amazing. But also I think the company, the people that we have here, the professionals that come to the booth and we talk to them and we meet them and we go in the different sessions is really amazing, the kind of energy. And by the way, I have some trouble hearing you, so I hope it's because of all the conversations around.
Well, luckily the mics are good, they hear us, that's what counts.
That's exactly it. So amazing, we get to talk to so many people who live and breathe cloud, live and breathe Kubernetes, which is amazing technology and really, really significant to be securing it. And that's why it's so exciting to be here. For people who do that, it's really exciting to be here, and it's really exciting to talk about the new things that we bring out and how they help us accomplish that mission of helping our customers securing their environments.
So, any news from Tenable here at the show?
Yeah, so just right before KubeCon, we actually announced a bunch of features directed at Kubernetes security that I think really showcase a lot of the power that we have in our mission. So, but before I'm going to talk about that, I just want to express one more thing. I think that technologies like the cloud, as we mentioned, they are very complex. They have a lot of potential to them, but they are very complex to manage. And complexity is an enemy for security. Because when something is complex, when it can go wrong, it will go wrong.
It's hard enough to do when it's easy. It's impossible to do when it's hard.
100%. So, in order to have the ability to get the kind of control, you need, as we mentioned, the kind of technology that was designed specifically for that. And that, by the way, is specifically true about Kubernetes, right? Because if you have cloud environments, thinking about Kubernetes and the kind of complexities that there are there, they sort of get to a point where a lot of security professionals who aren't Kubernetes engineers, they don't live and breathe the YAML and the kind of configurations, and it is very, very complicated technology.
I know.
And it might put them a bit at a loss, right? When you're a security professional and you're not well versed in that, in a technology that you need to protect, you're really at a loss with when you work with the infrastructure people in your organization. That they have, of course, a lot more experience there, and you kind of want to, if you think about it, put restrictions on what they can and cannot do, and of course, business always wins. So that's a big challenge.
Yeah.
For a lot of these security professionals. This is how we support them by doing the analysis automatically, by connecting to the clusters as we connect to cloud environments, and doing the analysis and presenting it in very, very readable and consumable way, and also actionable, that they can take the kind of output that we get and allow them to really use it, and also have like a common language. Because you don't have to be a Kubernetes expert, for example, to use our product and to understand the problems that it communicates, and to understand how to support them. If you're a security professional, that's great, because you understand the security context, you understand the problems, you understand its meaning and the context, and then you can use it in that aspect without being a Kubernetes expert. Of course, you always need to advance your skills, right? So, but that gives you like a very, very good platform and benchmark to do that.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's in general, and I think that so the new things that we release are really an evidence of that. So first of all, we just released the ability, just announced the ability to connect to on-prem clusters. So not just clusters managed by managed services, for example, like EKS, AKS, GK, or even clusters that are deployed in cloud environments, but also clusters that are deployed on-prem, which allows us to bring our abilities to there. So one thing that we provide is, for example, really deep visibility, which again, very easy to consume. Even if you're not that familiar with all the kinds of resources and how they interact, you can get them in a very clear way. Right. But not just that, also analysis of the kind of security issues that there are with the cluster, and contextualize into the best practices that there are for Kubernetes clusters, as we do for like the entire cloud environment. And in that aspect, I think it's also very significant to understand that the kind of insights that we give are not just for the cluster, but also for the cloud environment, which it is a part of or integrates with.
Yep.
Which is also very important because we're able to tell the entire story using that, right? Using that exact thing.
It's a big thing. It's the whole ease of use. Look, it's a long story in security, right? And it's also part of the reason when we look at DevSecOps, for instance, you can't expect non-security people for non-security people to use security tools that are so hard that even the security people don't use. So that whole visibility ease thing is important. Where can people get information on this?
So go on our website, of course, and we just released a blog post about that feature and also the other feature that we're going to talk about. And if they're at KubeCon, they
come by your booth. Well, this is live. Maybe they're watching.
I sure hope so. I mean, if they can grab me while we're here, I mean, once we're done with the interview.
Run.
Yeah. So one more thing that I wanted to talk about is something that a lot of people have been really excited about here at the booth when we met them, is there is a concept in a Kubernetes cluster called an admission controller. So that's a component that you can deploy that is basically part of the pipeline of the deployment of new resources. So when you do kube control applied, it actually goes through that as a validation station. So what we're able to do is allow customers to very easily deploy their own admission controller and configure policies. It's based on something called Gatekeeper.
Gatekeeper.
Yeah. Which is great technology. However, it could be a little overwhelming for people to deploy and then manage. Right? So instead of having to deploy it themselves, they can configure it within the product. It is then deployed to the cluster and they can manage it in an intuitive interface that allows them to configure the kind of policy that they want the admission control to enforce. Which is really great because again, a lot of people can make a lot of benefit from such a feature, but sometimes it could be a little hard to get started with. Right, so they can do it in the intuitive interface. If they want, they can also do it in the Rego language by OPA,
sure.
Which is how it usually is done. So they can do it in raw form.
Okay.
And then they can deploy things and track the logs of how it worked. And
done a lot with OPA. Excellent, man. Good stuff. Lior, thank you for being on our show.
Thank you so much for having me.
This camera right here, Lior Zatlavi from Tenable, live with us in Paris. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. So
discover the cutting-edge insights of our new show, AI Times, a series that explores the limitless potential of artificial intelligence. Sponsored by the AI Infrastructure Alliance, the AI Times is at the forefront of the AI revolution, tackling the crucial questions of how we can leverage AI for the betterment of humanity. Stay ahead of the curve as this show delves into all things surrounding AI, including trends, pressing concerns, and the positive impact AI is making around the globe. AI Times.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond. CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and MediaOps CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts. This is where CISOs talk. Join us on digitalanarchist.com and techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing.
This is Techstrong TV.
Hi everyone, Alan Schimmel back here at Chicago KubeCon, North America 2023. If you've watched
This is Techstrong TV.
Hi everyone, Alan Schimmel back here at Chicago KubeCon, North America 2023. If you've watched our coverage of past KubeCons or RSA or even sometimes on Techstrong TV, you know this fellow right here. He's my friend David DeSanto. David is the Chief Product Officer?
Chief Product Officer.
Yep, at GitLab. And, GitLab always has something doing, especially if it's the 22nd of the month, right?
Correct.
How many consecutive 22nd of the month releases are we up to now? Do you
Over
know?
150. I know
Over
that.
150.
Yeah.
But GitLab is also a big community member of CNCF, as well as a bunch of the other Linux foundations as well. And David's always a wealth of information. So, David, I hope I didn't put too much pressure on you, but welcome.
It's fine. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. So let's first talk a little bit about the show.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
GitLab is here. What are you seeing, hearing? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, so I would say this probably is no surprise to everyone who's watching, but this year it's all about security and AI.
Yeah.
And sure enough, at GitLab's booth here, we're at booth M1, it's also about
security and AI.
Security and AI and visibility.
So, we've been talking a little bit about security and AI too, surprise.
Yeah.
And one of we actually, just a quick plug, we actually have a great virtual event coming up in December on AI. And it's sort of where does AI rubber meet the road.
Right.
And I want to turn that around to you, David. Look, AI has tremendous potential to help, I think, with security.
It does.
I don't know how much of it is real today. I think a lot of it will be real, certainly. But what's real today?
Yeah.
No holds barred.
Yeah.
What's your take?
Yeah, so maybe we'll start with the AI part of that and then tie it into security. So
okay.
I always look at new technology through the lens of my parents. They're both much older than I am, right? And to them, when I showed them AI, it was magic. Because to them,
really was.
How is that happening, right?
Right.
But then I also had to help ground that in reality for them to say, well, this is generative AI. It works by predicting the next word based off the series,
right?
And
it's
so
not sentient.
When you look at it, though some people have thought it's sentient, right?
But well, no, your parents, like I go by my wife's sister.
Okay.
She's 74. And she thought there was a little person in there.
Yeah. Yeah, not totally, just as a quick note, and the viewers will love this, but I introduced them to it at my sister's wedding earlier this year. I needed to do a toast, so I had Bard generate the toast for me, and they were like, how is this happening, right?
Beautiful, I hear you.
But to kind of ground in reality, and you realize how generative AI works, you have to then ask yourself, what are the best use cases to apply it to? It's not going to be able to tell you how many pages are in a book, how many words are in a book. Those aren't things that are questions it can build, right? But it can help you with tasks that can sometimes be mundane. It can help you with understanding something better. And that's how I kind of tie it back to AI. So when GitLab started applying AI to our platform, we started in 2021 with code review, because that was a huge pain point, helping customers get through code review. The next area we looked at was actually security.
Really?
And the reason why we did that is that GitLab is, in essence, was a developer platform when we started. We're an enterprise DevSecOps platform today.
Right.
But it was about helping developers be more effective. And developers don't start their day off by saying, you know what, I want to write a zero-day vulnerability in the application today. I want to make it super vulnerable, right? They want to write really good code. And so we said, we've helped shift security left. How do we help now those developers understand that security they're seeing? And so we launched at RSA this year, Explain This Vulnerability, where it actually explains the vulnerability in natural language using AI, gives them an example of how that vulnerability is exploitable, and then gives them an example of how to resolve it. And those code snippets it shows are in the language the developer's writing in. And so when I think about AI and security, I think about it making security truly approachable. And if you can do that, then everyone starts to win.
So I would give you guys the Oscar for best use of AI, right? Because I think that's where it shines. I had a very similar experience with me. So I'm not a coder.
I claim to be one, but it's been a decade plus since I've written any code.
But you know what? Try putting a little code into your generative AI chatbot and say, explain this, or what does this mean?
Yeah.
And it goes through line by line and tells you that's what this is for, this is what it's calling, this is what it's doing. And you could be a complete neophyte around, let's say, Python, or name your language, whatever you want to do it in. And it really teaches you how to code.
It does. It
line
does.
by line, where, syntax by syntax. So to me, that's a great use of AI, right? That's what we should be using it for. It's not Google search, right? A lot of people I know, they think it's Google. It's not Google search.
No.
But those it's good for writing toasts for a best man or whatever, But, or an anniversary. Someone in my office I know used it.
Yeah.
And his wife called him on it. But anyway, it's really great for learning tool. Now, when we talk about AI and security, though, there's an evil dark side to it.
There is.
Which is, how do you secure AI?
Yeah, and so I love that question. So the first time we spoke, which now is 4 or 5 years ago, the question you asked me is like, GitLab and security, explain that. And we talked about why we were taking that journey. And today GitLab is recognized as a security player in the space.
Absolutely.
And it's one of those things that we are very proud about because we helped define what shift left actually meant. And so if you bring this back to AI, the one thing I always tell people is that, code generation can be scary. You're not sure, is it writing good code? Is it writing functional code? But if you're using GitLab, that code gets committed back into your CI/CD pipeline, and the GitLab security scanners run, and now you know that vulnerability has been resolved and nothing new has been introduced. Right. And so if you pair AI with the right things around it, it can be truly powerful. But you're right, if you're not doing that and you're thinking it is the person living inside the machine, you give a little too much trust to it today.
Yeah.
AI is not 100% there yet.
Absolutely. Well, so that's the next segue. Don't give up any secrets. Let's not get in trouble. You're a public company now. But where do you see AI going with GitLab?
Yeah.
Specifically over the next, let's say, between now and RSA in May or something.
Yeah, that's a great question. So fortunately, we're a very transparent company, so I can talk about roadmap and not get in trouble.
Yep.
But thank you for making sure that I don't get myself in trouble with legal. So where we see AI going with GitLab is there's really two paths that we're exploring. The first is GitLab Duo Chat. We released it back in June. It continues to mature. We're seeing people gravitate towards wanting to talk to chat and not necessarily click a button in the UI or engage with AI that way. And it makes sense. If you think about it, we're humans. You and I are talking, we're having a conversation. That's what we'd want to engage with it. And that's why the chatbots are so popular. And so what we're looking to do is continue to take what we've released. We have 14 AI features today.
Really?
Yeah, everything from GitLab is for the entire SDLC. So we have AI assistance in planning, coding, securing, deploying, the whole way across. And so we're slowly moving those features into chat. An example that explained this vulnerability is a great example. So that'll be available in chat here shortly. And the reason why we're doing that is the natural thing is, well, help me resolve it. Here's my code. And so we want to help AI be not just a pair programmer for the developer, but be that trusted partner that can help write more secure code. So I would say over the coming several months going into RSA, you'll see a lot of AI and security and our Duo Chat feature coming together.
I love it.
The other area is our...
Wait, hold on 1 second. I want to make sure Duo Chat.
Yeah.
Not everyone out here is going to know Duo Chat.
Yeah, so perfect. Yeah, so GitLab Duo is the name of our AI workflows within the GitLab platform.
Got it.
The name is based off the fact that it's you as a user, plus AI makes the AI dynamic duo.
Okay.
It also helps that I'm a huge Batman fan, and dynamic duo has that.
All right, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I didn't tell marketing that, though.
No.
No. Hopefully they don't watch this. They'll now know my secret.
What does marketing ever... I'm only kidding.
Yeah,
I'm only kidding. No, I love my marketing people.
So that's the name of the suite of those AI workflows. And so there are things like explain this vulnerability. You're explaining of codes. We actually haven't explained this code.
I love
explain
it.
the code. We have our code suggestions, which is going to generate either code completion, your cursor's in the file, it's reading what's before and after the file's open and recommending code.
I love that.
Or code generation, where you can actually do comment to code. That's actually the most popular for our users. As well as things in like helping you do your planning, summarizing conversations, helping with CI configurations and beyond. So that's what GitLab Duo is, and Duo Chat is part of that. And so that's the chatbot you can launch within GitLab's UI.
Now, is there a way to kind of implant this into your IDE? Or?
And that's the last thing I was going to mention that we're working on. Yeah, so the
you
other
didn't
thing,
pay me to say that.
I did not.
Okay, go ahead.
It's almost like you read our GitLab issues and read our roadmap.
We may not coordinate our wardrobes.
We didn't. But I do wish I would have worn the full shirt today.
Time.
We will. Next time we'll do that. But,
all right.
But anyway, we're going to be bringing Duo Chat to the IDEs. So today we have it as an experimental feature, and we're trying it at GitLab today to make sure it works, but it'll be available in all the IDEs that we support today, including the JetBrains Suite, Visual Studio, VS Code, NeoVim, and the GitLab IDE.
I love it. I love that. Fantastic.
Yeah, but by the way, that'll also then bring those same actions that are in the GitLab UI into chat in your IDE, so you can actually explain a vulnerability, explain the code, all those things directly where you're working. You don't have to leave your IDE to get that.
While we're on this subject, a lot of people out here, look, there's so much controversy around AI. Mm-hmm. Is it going to kill off humanity? Is it going to take everyone's jobs away? Is it going to, And my feeling is it's not, will it do some jobs? Yeah, but for the most part, it's going to make a lot of people who do these jobs 10x more effective.
Yeah.
How do we, how do you view it, and has GitLab view this, right? In a world where chat and Duo Chat is built in, and AI is built into the entire GitLab SDLC pipeline.
Yeah.
Does it really 10x these people?
So that's our target. And to give a little context for everyone, GitLab Ultimate, which is our top tier, includes every feature GitLab has, including AI. When we did a survey of our customers, we had an independent company do that. They found that people using GitLab Ultimate get a 7x boost in efficiency for their organization.
So you're over halfway there?
Yeah, and an ROI within 6 months of what they paid for it. And so when we asked ourselves, how does AI help? We set ourselves a 10x goal. So continue to accelerate that efficiency. And our customers using GitLab today and GitLab Duo are talking about that. They're talking about getting through code review faster. They're talking about resolving vulnerabilities faster. And to the first part of your comment, we don't see AI as a replacement for your team members. We see it as helping them be more effective, removing some of the mundane tasks that can slow them down and unlocking their true potential. Imagine a world where your developers don't have to worry about doing things like creating the template for the code, and now they can just go in and write the actual strategic parts, right? And same thing across the entire software development lifecycle. I personally benefit from Duo almost on a daily basis, in that as the CPO of the company, I get pinged on our GitLab issues or GitLab Epic or whatever, and someone will say, what are your thoughts on this? And I'll look at it and I go, how long is this? And I'll go up and say, like, PDF it, and it's like, it's 100 pages. The issue's been open 8 months.
Summarize.
Customers are coming. Yeah, so I say,
I do the same
summarize
thing.
the discussion, right?
We're connected. Yeah. I do the same thing.
Yeah, and so that's where I see it. Like, that made me more efficient. I didn't spend 2 hours doing that.
I'm doing the same exact, as CEO, at Techstrong. Because I'm inundated with content. Should we publish this? Is this the right tone? Here's the abstracts. Just, and a lot of time, and I don't mean to sound callous, but I just don't have the time to go through it all. But a summary, man, just give it to me in 5 bullets.
Right, and by the way, the other part of that I use is that it can also help generate descriptions and tasks. And so I will, right? So I'll just say, like, I read all that, I have an action, remind me to do this, help me create the task for it, and so forth. But you are the great example, right? Same thing with the developer, a security person. There are other things that your brain power should be used for, And why spend the time doing those things that
I
truly
agree.
are not moving Techstrong forward or that
No, I
company's
mean,
application forward?
we'll come up with we have a theme for a given event, a virtual or in-person event. We need the abstract. I could have other people write the abstract, but it doesn't really capture my vision for it. I find just putting that into a bot, into a chat, it nails it. But here's another thing that I think is, and again, for those of you out there who don't use generative AI yet, you should. Don't be afraid to give it a nice long prompt or give it a lot of back. The more info you give it, the better it kicks back to you.
It does. It actually goes off feedback, and you can like something or thumbs it down.
That was another kind of revelation, and I think it probably worked the same way with code.
It actually does. So the back end of GitLab Duo is monitoring for the amount of code you keep. So do you accept the recommendation? Do you not?
Yeah.
It also measures retention. So is that code still there after you move on? And same thing with the chat. So I've actually had to say to it, and there's a joke on the internet about you have to be polite back to the chatbot.
Right.
I actually just recommend it because I've seen that documentary Terminator with Skynet, and I'm just afraid.
One day they might come for you.
You want to suck up to them now, so when they take over, they remember
they'll
you.
remember it.
But no, I'll actually say back like, that's interesting, but have you thought about this, and here's why. And then I see that it actually learns from it because we constantly fine-tune models based off that feedback, right?
I agree.
So absolutely, please be kind to the chatbot.
Be kind to your chatbots, and be kind to everyone else, right?
That's if it is,
especially in this day with everything in our world going on.
If it's anything, you should be polite.
Right.
There you go.
If you can be anything, be polite. Non-AI stuff. What's your impressions of the show this year?
I've enjoyed it so far. RSA conference used to be my favorite conference to go to. I think KubeCon is now tied for first and might sometimes edge it out. And the main reason why is that here is one of the few times I feel like, it reminds me of the Black Hat conference back in the day.
Back in the day.
You've got it is not meant to sound negative, but like the doers here, right?
Yeah.
You're having real conversations with developers who are trying to understand operations better. Security professionals who are here are trying to make sure they're supporting developers' operations. Same thing with operations. So you get this like really good mix of people. And it just reminds me of almost like a large startup, if that's a good way to look at it.
There's an energy that's palpable that I think works.
But I do want to just make sure, RSA, I still love you.
We'll be there May 6th.
I'll be there as well.
Our DevSecOps. It's going to be all about AI and the future of security, our event, as well as the larger AI event all week, the larger RSA event all week. What about reInvent? You guys are going to be at reInvent?
We will be at reInvent. I will personally not be there.
No?
No, I hit the point where this is my last full week of the year. I've been gone 3 weeks a month for this entire year. I want to stay married.
I hear you.
I want to spend some time with my dogs. And so I'm taking December and most of January off from travel.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm getting a new dog Friday.
What kind of dog are you getting?
I guess I could share it. So we've had bulldogs for about almost 30 years.
Okay.
Our last one passed away in May. She was 14 and a half.
You and I I think you and I talked about that.
Yeah. So it took a little while for us to, get back in the, I need a dog, but I need a dog.
No,
so it's a new bulldog puppy. Her name is Kaya.
Oh, wow.
K-A-I-A, which means sea in Hawaiian. Her father's name is Ocean.
Oh, wow.
And I'll post pictures.
Okay. So just I think I've shared this with you before, but we have two rescues. They're both Chihuahua mixes.
Oh, yeah.
One's really dumb, and the other one's really smart. So
it's a good mix,
I will tell you, when I get home, they're so excited to see me, and they get really sad when I'm
nothing like
packing,
the love of a dog.
I completely agree.
No doubt.
But about the conference.
Yeah, we went off there, but
completely derailed us.
Yes.
So for GitLab, a couple things. So if people are watching and they're here, they want to see it. If not, check it out after the conference on our website. We brought our product analytics feature to market. We already have some customers adopting it, and we're demoing it. And I wanted to share it here because KubeCon is also about visibility, and you can't close the SDLC without user feedback. And so, similar to how we have observability, which is about the application running in production, the value stream analytics and value stream management. This is now user feedback. So as part of GitLab CI/CD, we can embed telemetry into the application. Wow. So when it's deployed, it can connect back to GitLab and start giving you data about your monthly active, daily active usage, the return rate of those users.
Is it available now,
it is available
or you're just
now.
demoing?
No, it's available. It is available.
What do you call that?
Well, we love our boring names at GitLab. It's one of our values, so it's just called GitLab Analytics.
GitLab Analytics.
Yeah, GitLab Product Analytics to be specific.
All right.
But yeah, we started using it earlier this year for our handbook, and we're able to learn about how our users use the handbook, our employees, and team members. And so I'm excited to make this available because other people want to understand how their apps are being used. Long term, we'll be able to pull in things like retention rate, user adoption journey metrics, but today it's just those raw metrics like the active usage, return rate, the graphs of how the usage is going. But we're very excited to be demoing it here. It's really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So,
GitLab User Analytics.
Yep.
David, it's always a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, love our chats.
You know what? We're gonna, I spoke to you, we're gonna do another chat with David before you leave for 2 months.
Yep.
With the dogs.
Yeah. I will be working for everyone. I'm not taking time, I'm just staying home.
Okay, you're just not on the road.
Yeah, I'll be working from home that entire time.
I was going to say, that's a lot of vacation time.
No. I did have my first big vacation since the pandemic, though.
Really?
Yeah, we went to Bar Harbor for 2 weeks and hiked the Katy National Park.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And when was this?
End of August, last 2 weeks of August.
Oh, so it's still nice.
It was very beautiful, but
not really peak color season there yet, but
no
time, summer.
But we'll definitely connect because I'm working. I'm just not on the road.
All right, but we're going to have you on Techstrong TV because you guys have more news.
We do.
That we can't talk about yet.
Yeah, that's a good teaser. Everyone, tune in.
That's what we call it. That's what we call it in the industry. My hook.
Going back to our marketing friends, that's the hook.
All right. Hey, we better take a break here. We're getting a little loony. We'll be back. We're live in Chicago at KubeCon with our friends at GitLab. We'll be right back.
Discover the cutting-edge insights of our new show, AI Times, a series that explores the limitless potential of artificial intelligence. Sponsored by the AI Infrastructure Alliance, the AI Times is at the forefront of the AI revolution, tackling the crucial questions of how we can leverage AI for the betterment of humanity. Stay ahead of the curve as this show delves into all things surrounding AI, including trends, pressing concerns, and the positive impact AI is making around the globe. AI Times.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond. CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and Media Ops CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts. This is where CISOs talk. Join us on digitalanarchist.com and techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing-related content. ContainerJournal.com covers all aspects of software containers, from container management, data management for containers, container security, networking for containers, to the entire container ecosystem, Kubernetes, microservices, serverless, and more. ContainerJournal.com has the largest selection of container-related news, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.containerjournal.com to learn more. DevOps.com is the #1 online destination for DevOps education and community building. DevOps.com covers all aspects of DevOps, including DevOps best practices and tools, DevOps culture, DevSecOps, business impact, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and more. DevOps.com has the largest collection of original DevOps content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.devops.com to learn more. DevOps.com, where the world meets DevOps. SecurityBoulevard.com is the leading resource for news, analysis, and education on challenges facing the cybersecurity industry. SecurityBoulevard.com covers all aspects of cybersecurity, including data security, DevSecOps, cloud security, application security, network security, security threats, and more. SecurityBoulevard.com has the largest selection of security content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.securityboulevard.com to learn more. SecurityBoulevard.com, home of Security Bloggers Network.
Cloud Native Now is the web's leading resource for the growing cloud native ecosystem. CloudNativeNow.com is your destination for news, thought leadership, features, and webinars on cloud native architecture, Kubernetes, serverless, cloud native application development, microservices, service mesh, cloud native security, and more. Stay on the cutting edge of modern application development at Cloud Native Now.
I'm Bonnie Schneider, sustainability contributor to the Techstrong Group. I'm excited to introduce you to a groundbreaking new initiative from Techstrong Research, the Sustainability Pulse Meter. The Pulse Meter offers valuable insights into how environmental responsibility factors into tech purchasing decisions for key players in the industry. Position your company as a leader in the industry and differentiate from your competitors with the Sustainability Pulse Meter, offered exclusively from Techstrong Research.
Discover the cutting-edge insights of our new show, AI Times, a series that explores the limitless potential of artificial intelligence. Sponsored by the AI Infrastructure Alliance, the AI Times is at the forefront of the AI revolution, tackling the crucial questions of how we can leverage AI for the betterment of humanity. Stay ahead of the curve as this show delves into all things surrounding AI, including trends, pressing concerns, and the positive impact AI is making around the globe. AI Times.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond. CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and MediaOps CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts. This is where CISOs talk. Join us on digitalanarchist.com and techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing-related content. ContainerJournal.com covers all aspects of software containers, from container management, data management for containers, container security, networking for containers, to the entire container ecosystem, Kubernetes, microservices, serverless, and more. ContainerJournal.com has the largest selection of container-related news, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.containerjournal.com to learn more. DevOps.com is the #1 online destination for DevOps education and community building. DevOps.com covers all aspects of DevOps, including DevOps best practices and tools, DevOps culture, DevSecOps, business impact, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and more. DevOps.com has the largest collection of original DevOps content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.devops.com to learn more. DevOps.com, where the world meets DevOps. SecurityBoulevard.com is the leading resource for news, analysis, and education on challenges facing the cybersecurity industry. SecurityBoulevard.com covers all aspects of cybersecurity, including data security, DevSecOps, cloud security, application security, network security, security threats, and more. SecurityBoulevard.com has the largest selection of security content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.securityboulevard.com to learn more. SecurityBoulevard.com, home of Security Bloggers Network.
Cloud Native Now is the web's leading resource for the growing cloud-native ecosystem. CloudNativeNow.com is your destination for news, thought leadership, features, and webinars on cloud-native architecture, Kubernetes, serverless, cloud-native application development, microservices, service mesh, cloud-native security, and more. Stay on the cutting edge of modern application development at Cloud Native Now.
I'm Bonnie Schneider, sustainability contributor to the Techstrong Group. I'm excited to introduce you to a groundbreaking new initiative from Techstrong Research, the Sustainability Pulse Meter. The Pulse Meter offers valuable insights into how environmental responsibility factors into tech purchasing decisions for key players in the industry. Position your company as a leader in the industry and differentiate from your competitors with the Sustainability Pulse Meter, offered exclusively from Techstrong Research.
Discover the cutting-edge insights of our new show, AI Times, a series that explores the limitless potential of artificial intelligence. Sponsored by the AI Infrastructure Alliance, the AI Times is at the forefront of the AI revolution, tackling the crucial questions of how we can leverage AI for the betterment of humanity. Stay ahead of the curve as this show delves into all things surrounding AI, including trends, pressing concerns, and the positive impact AI is making around the globe. AI Times. Discover the cutting-edge insights. Discover the cutting-edge insights of our new show, AI Times, a series that explores the limitless potential of artificial intelligence. Sponsored by the AI Infrastructure Alliance, the AI Times is at the forefront of the AI revolution, tackling the crucial questions of how we can leverage AI for the betterment of humanity. Stay ahead of the curve as this show delves into all things surrounding AI, including trends, pressing concerns, and the positive impact AI is making around the globe. AI Times.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond, CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and MediaOps CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts, this is where CISOs talk. Join us on digitalanarchist.com and techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing-related content. ContainerJournal.com covers all aspects of software containers, from container management, data management for containers, container security, networking for containers, to the entire container ecosystem, Kubernetes, microservices, serverless, and more. ContainerJournal.com has the largest selection of container-related news, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.containerjournal.com to learn more. DevOps.com is the #1 online destination for DevOps education and community building. DevOps.com covers all aspects of DevOps, including DevOps best practices and tools, DevOps culture, DevSecOps, business impact, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and more. DevOps.com has the largest collection of original DevOps content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.devops.com to learn more. DevOps.com, where the world meets DevOps. SecurityBoulevard.com is the leading resource for news, analysis, and education on challenges facing the cybersecurity industry. SecurityBoulevard.com covers all aspects of cybersecurity, including data security, DevSecOps, cloud security, application security, network security, security threats, and more. SecurityBoulevard.com has the largest selection of security content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.securityboulevard.com to learn more. SecurityBoulevard.com, home of Security Bloggers Network.
Cloud Native Now is the web's leading resource for the growing cloud-native ecosystem. CloudNativeNow.com is your destination for news, thought leadership, features, and webinars on cloud-native architecture, Kubernetes, serverless, cloud-native application development, microservices, service mesh, cloud-native security, and more. Stay on the cutting edge of modern application development at Cloud Native Now.
I'm Bonnie Schneider, sustainability contributor to the Techstrong Group. I'm excited to introduce you to a groundbreaking new initiative from Techstrong Research, the Sustainability Pulse Meter. The Pulse Meter offers valuable insights into how environmental responsibility factors into tech purchasing decisions for key players in the industry. Position your company as a leader in the industry and differentiate from your competitors with the Sustainability Pulse Meter, offered exclusively from Techstrong Research.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond, CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and MediaOps CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts, this is where CISOs talk. Join us on digitalanarchist.com and techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing-related content. ContainerJournal.com covers all aspects of software containers, from container management, data management for containers, container security, networking for containers, to the entire container ecosystem, Kubernetes, microservices, serverless, and more. ContainerJournal.com has the largest selection of container-related news, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.containerjournal.com to learn more. DevOps.com is the #1 online destination for DevOps education and community building. DevOps.com covers all aspects of DevOps, including DevOps best practices and tools, DevOps culture, DevSecOps, business impact, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and more. DevOps.com has the largest collection of original DevOps content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.devops.com to learn more. DevOps.com, where the world meets DevOps. SecurityBoulevard.com is the leading resource for news, analysis, and education on challenges facing the cybersecurity industry. SecurityBoulevard.com covers all aspects of cybersecurity, including data security, DevSecOps, cloud security, application security, network security, security threats, and more. SecurityBoulevard.com has the largest selection of security content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.securityboulevard.com to learn more. SecurityBoulevard.com, home of Security Bloggers Network.
Cloud Native Now is the web's leading resource for the growing cloud-native ecosystem. CloudNativeNow.com is your destination for news, thought leadership, features, and webinars on cloud-native architecture, Kubernetes, serverless, cloud-native application development, microservices, service mesh, cloud-native security, and more. Stay on the cutting edge of modern application development at Cloud Native Now.
I'm Bonnie Schneider, sustainability contributor to the Techstrong Group. I'm excited to introduce you to a groundbreaking new initiative from Techstrong Research, the Sustainability Pulse Meter. The Pulse Meter offers valuable insights into how environmental responsibility factors into tech purchasing decisions for key players in the industry. Position your company as a leader in the industry and differentiate from your competitors with the Sustainability Pulse Meter, offered exclusively from Techstrong Research.
CISO Talk, to hear how real-world CISOs are dealing with today's real-world issues. From enabling secure remote workers to accelerating secure cloud adoption, defending against a pandemic of security attacks and beyond, CISO Talk covers the cyber topics you want to learn about. With your hosts, Unisys CISO Matt Newfield and MediaOps CEO Alan Schimmel, featuring a revolving panel of CISO cyber experts, this is where CISOs talk. Join us on digitalanarchist.com and techstrong.tv.
ContainerJournal.com is the leading online destination for centralized computing-related content. ContainerJournal.com covers all aspects of software containers, from container management, data management for containers, container security, networking for containers, to the entire container ecosystem, Kubernetes, microservices, serverless, and more. ContainerJournal.com has the largest selection of container-related news, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.containerjournal.com to learn more. DevOps.com is the #1 online destination for DevOps education and community building. DevOps.com covers all aspects of DevOps, including DevOps best practices and tools, DevOps culture, DevSecOps, business impact, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and more. DevOps.com has the largest collection of original DevOps content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.devops.com to learn more. DevOps.com, where the world meets DevOps. SecurityBoulevard.com is the leading resource for news, analysis, and education on challenges facing the cybersecurity industry. SecurityBoulevard.com covers all aspects of cybersecurity, including data security, DevSecOps, cloud security, application security, network security, security threats, and more. SecurityBoulevard.com has the largest selection of security content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.securityboulevard.com to learn more. SecurityBoulevard.com, home of Security Bloggers Network.
Cloud Native Now is the web's leading resource for the growing cloud-native ecosystem. CloudNativeNow.com is your destination for news, thought leadership, features, and webinars on cloud-native architecture, Kubernetes, serverless, cloud-native application development, microservices, service mesh, cloud-native security, and more. Stay on the cutting edge of modern application development at Cloud Native Now.
I'm Bonnie Schneider, sustainability contributor to the Techstrong Group. I'm excited to introduce you to a groundbreaking new initiative from Techstrong Research, the Sustainability Pulse Meter. The Pulse Meter offers valuable insights into how environmental responsibility factors into tech purchasing decisions